Board of Commissioners, Monday, August the 19th, 2019, 6 p.m. I'd like to ask the EMA office if they would come up and do the address. Would you do that for me?
Good evening. Before I go through the address, I just want to tell the commissioners and everyone in attendance here, we had an outstanding response to the airplane crash. The teamwork was incredible. And you see all the folks that were involved, I think it would be very appropriate to give them a pat on the back. In the unlikely event that we need to evacuate this building, our primary evacuation route is the southern entrance, which is the monument side of the courthouse. The assembly area is the back parking lot. The secondary exit is going to be the stairwell across from the elevator on the north side of the building. And again, the assembly point would be the back parking lot. Just an item of information, the restrooms are located on the north end of the building, which is up here. And the second floor restrooms are handicap accessible. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? Three absent. I know I spoke with Commissioner James on Friday evening. He's on vacation. I spoke with Mr. Trivet last night. He was having a procedure done at the hospital this morning. He didn't know if he could be here tonight or not. I don't know if there are updates on Ronnie or not. And I haven't spoken with Commissioner Grindstaff. So we do have a quorum present. I'd like to, just a couple of things, agendas up here on the side of Mr. Burke out there on the stand. If you'd like an agenda, if you do not have an agenda. Another announcement I need to make very quickly is about the September meetings, the committee meetings. I think, Patsy, you had something on that. Okay, I'm sorry. If you have any changes on your regular meetings, please let Ms. Lewis know, or the clerk's office know. I do have on here September the 23rd will be a joint economic community development meeting at noon. That's the only change that I can see on September.
The landfill will be meeting at 5 on the 9th because we're on the holiday. So
5 on the 9th?
We'll meet at 5 o'clock.
Thank you, Commissioner Cole. Anything else, any other changes from the chair? Mr. Mayor?
I think it's, I had it down, I think it's the 23rd. Joint economic.
Yeah.
That may have been the one I just announced.
Yeah.
You say 23rd?
I think
Yes.
yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry, I thought you said 3rd.
At noon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir, thank you.
No.
Any other changes? If not, the applications were passed around. Just another in way of announcements before we get started. Applications were passed around to all commissioners, and those applications were to put in those slots on that form the committees that you desire to serve on this coming year. So if you would do that, and then those need to be turned back in on what date, the latest date?
Probably.
Prior to the commission meeting will be fine. I would think a week before would be good.
You give us the county court clerk.
Yes, sir. Anything else from this one? Okay. The floor is open now to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Mike Hill. Here a second? Second by Commissioner Prophet. Any discussions, deletions, additions, anything to the agenda? If not, seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll. Thank you. The stand is approved as presented. At this time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Campbell if he'll lead us in prayer. And I'd like to ask also, if I could, while we're standing at Dr. Draco, would you lead us, sir, in the pledge? Thank
given us another chance to take another breath, Lord, put our feet on the floor. Lord, you watched over us, you kept that unseen hand upon us. Lord, we want to thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ, who went to the cross and died for each one of us, Lord. Lord, that we could have life and have it more abundantly. Lord, we do pray, Lord, for those that are sick, Lord, among our body here tonight, Lord. We pray, God, you have your anointing upon them. Lord, all of our policemen, Lord, we pray, God, for them, our rescue squad, EMS, Lord, we pray for them, a good job that they did, Lord, that you watched over them, nobody was hurt. God, we thank you for that. Lord, we can never praise you enough for all the miracles that you worked in our lives. Lord, we thank you, Lord, for the decisions, Lord, that we make, Lord, we make them with the wisdom and the knowledge that you give us, God. Lord, we ask these things in thy name. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'd like to recognize all the elected officials, all the appointed officials, and guests. Would you please stand? Let's give them a hand. Thank you very much for the work that you do daily. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Commissioner Blevins makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do you hear a second? Commissioner Jenkins, second. Any discussions, corrections, deletions, additions to the minutes? Any corrections at all? Commissioner Travis Hill.
Just a couple of corrections on page 79 under resolution. Under resolution 739, just need to add a T in departments and then change the 2019 to 2020 on year ending.
Thank you, sir. Any other changes, corrections? Commissioner Von Cannon.
Page 803. The proclamation to John Whitson and Whitson's Barbershop. The third word is whereas Whitson's, B-A-B-E-R. I don't know what a vapor shop is, but that ain't right.
Did you say vapor or vapor? You said that. Any other corrections on the minutes? Corrections on the minutes? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Please reveal the vote. Motion passed. Minutes approved as presented. Thank you very much. At this time, we're down to number 9 on the agenda. Would you please read the names of the notaries and the bond?
Casey Renee Robbins, Donna Jean Newell, Samantha Smith, Pamela Cole, Rebecca Hodge, Melissa Shaw, Lauren J. Tesker, Eric M. Hodge, Jennifer Brown, Tiffany O'Quinn, Cindy Harris, and Jerry William Petrie.
Do I hear a motion to approve as presented? Commissioner Mike Hill, Commissioner Acuff, second. In discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll. Motion passed. At this time, we're up to the mayor proclamation. Mayor Rusty Barnett. If you'd like to come forward, sir, and make your presentation.
Mr. Ward, yes. Okay. If I could have, this is in honor, mayoral proclamation for honoring the Hampton High School 1959-60 basketball team on our state championship and accomplishments. If I could have all members of that team come forward, please, or family representatives.
Y'all gonna sign for us?
We can do this.
We're honoring the Hampton High School 1959-60 basketball team on their state championship and accomplishments. Whereas in 1960, there were no divisions in the high school basketball as there are now, making it a difficult task for a small school like Hampton High to capture a state title, as they were forced to compete against much larger schools throughout the regular season and in the playoffs. Whereas throughout the course of their historic run, the 1959-1960 Hampton Bulldogs were dubbed the Little Men of the Mountains by the press, and they were hailed from a small school in the mountains of East Tennessee, and their tallest player was only slightly over 6 feet tall. Whereas the Bulldogs were given little chance at success in the state tournament that year by the sports media, who boldly and incorrectly predicted it would be Murfreesboro versus Union City in the state finals. Whereas the Hampton Bulldogs shocked the experts by defeating the previously unbeaten Murfreesboro Central and Union City teams to capture the state title. Whereas the 1959-1960 Hampton Bulldogs basketball team brought honor and recognition to our community through their determination and sportsmanship. Whereas the team members served as role models both on and off the court and still serve as an inspiration to generations of Carter County youth that hard work, determination, and a winning spirit can bring success. Whereas the team was comprised of Willie Malone, Wes Forbes, Carl Robinson, Glenn Cotton Nave, Arnold Hughes, Jerry White, Bob Stout, Larry Montgomery, Ray Green, Richard Hyder, Glenn Hayes, Wayne Ellis, Jimmy Jones, and Edwin Holzball. And the team was led in the historic season by the legendary Coach Buck Van Huss. Therefore, be it resolved that Rusty Barnett, Mayor of Carter County, does hereby proclaim today, August 19, 2019, a day of honor for the 1959-1960 state champion Hampton Bulldogs basketball team.
Go Dogs!
just a couple words. I'm honored to be a part of this, because I am an old bulldog myself, but, you know, almost my fight's over, but glad to have these guys here, and this is a special day for me to be a part of this. So I'm honored to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, gentlemen, for the memories going back for many years. At this time, if you look at your agenda, public comments. Give the mayor an opportunity to finish that. Public comments, if you would state your name, ma'am, and your address.
You don't have a footstool.
Footstool. Mayor, I don't get
Hi. My name is Dallas Knight, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my sister, who has the Linda Taylor DeLauder estate. I get very emotional like this, so pardon me. But thank you for letting me come. I have moved down here in the last 3 years just to try from the north. I'm from here, I'm a Stony Creeker. But I have given up my life up north with my family to come here to be, to take over her estate. For years, my sister had this money in Edward Jones, accrued over $1 million that she left for this county. She never opened her envelopes when they come every 3 months. She never knew how much she had. She didn't care because she knew it was going to come here. I'd hear her to say, how is she going to make ends meet? You hear eccentric people like that have so much money that they can't buy groceries or their medicine. Glenda was that way. She had no children, but this was what she wanted to leave as a legacy. After her death, we have tried to fulfill that. We eagerly wrote over $500,000 to the shelter. And when I go down there and see how that money now, I feel was maybe misused. Our family of 8 came up with nothing. We knew how to stretch $1 to make $5. But somehow in this age, if people is handed money, it seems like it's not theirs. They don't stretch it. I am guilty of not going down and maybe taking better control of that. The blueprints were shown to us. What do you want done with this money? What do you want done? We want this, we need this. Show it to me on paper. Nothing of the blueprints that came out to this day is planned down there the way it was shown to our family. We're very disappointed. We have more money we'd like to pour into the shelter. But if it's not going to be appropriated correctly, then I don't think our state wants to give any more money to this organization. When I look at Carter County and people say, I don't want to give any money because that woman gave all that, they don't need any more money. You can never have enough money. I'm not here to embarrass anybody, but I would like for you to be honest. Hold up your hand if in the last year you've been to the shelter and taken a tour. Were you really impressed with it, or did you feel there was a lot of need yet to go on? If so, this is where I am asking for your help as well as everybody else, because everybody just feels that if we had this money, why does the county have to do it? Why should we do it? These animals can't speak, but they can run in fear, They need us. And for those here that are voting against it, I don't know why. If you haven't been down there to watch a day-to-day organization to see how it is operated, you're in for a shock. I would like to ask each one of you to take a tour. Call, make an appointment, come as a group, but please tour it and just see what is needed. If you would go down there, you would be appalled that this is in your county. And when you vote against something, I want you to look those animals in the face. I want you to see those animals who has been starved, kicked, and abused. And you tell them why that those dogs back there are living in this kind of heat. And in the wintertime, they freeze to death. And you look at that young mama that's probably a year old that's raising babies, and she's a baby. The human beings that couldn't afford $30, $40 to get it fixed or just kicked them out. It's somebody else's problem. The mentality of the people here, I am ashamed of them. I'm ashamed of my background. My father, when we were growing up, if a dog or an animal came there, it was never brought in the wintertime. It was never given any shots or exam. It got scraps. It froze to death in the wintertime, but we kids were raised like that. That's what we thought, animals just stayed outside. I remember seeing my dad chain them to a tree. And now when I think back at that, how could I have let that happen? But that was the way we were grown up. That's the way we grew up in Appalachia.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
5 minutes, right?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I do have things I would like to have said, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying, that we do need your help down there. In fact, I'm begging for it.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is there anyone that would yield time to this lady to let her finish up? We have had that happen
She
before.
can have my time. I just want to.
Okay, come on back up now, would you please?
Thank you, Michael.
I want you, let me say something. Ma'am, could I say something, please?
Yes.
I want you to know I was not singling you out trying to cut you off. We all stick to the 5-minute rule. Thank you, Commissioner Hill. Go ahead, ma'am.
I wrote some notes down because once I get started, I can't remember what I just said. I'm sorry. We wanted a room that if you would go down, we wanted a room that the kittens and cats could play together so they could be socialized, so that they would be ready to be more adoptable. That did not come to fruition. There is a room there now that we paid for that has not been enclosed in, and winter is almost here. And all we need is some money. And I don't know, because I don't get to come to these meetings, I don't know how your organizations or your committees are formed or what you do, but I do know we need a project manager. And I don't know why your feet are dragging on it. Like I say, I don't know your business, and I'm not trying to put you down. But I think we need somebody in there as soon as possible. I've been trying to fix up a room here in this house that I'm staying in when I come down here. It's taken me forever. It's killing me. So I can imagine what it's like for the employees of the shelter to come in every day. I can't imagine these volunteers come in every day and the same old mess is there every day for them to look at, and they don't see anything that's better for them to come into. And if we lose them, you might as well just close the door. We have been looking forward for a grand opening for 3 years, that we were promised within a year that we would have a grand opening and that I could honor my sister. We could have an open house. This is going on 3 years. I'm embarrassed about that. I'm embarrassed that you guys are putting us in that kind of a position. I'm sorry, I don't mean to step on toes, but if you are in a position to help it, I'm begging you to please do it. Our family is willing to put some more money in. I know people that are volunteered to put big bucks in, but they don't want to give the money yet until, I mean, it's there, waiting to have a check written. They just said, not until you get your act straightened out. I think we need a project manager. I'm hoping that you can find someone. I don't want to take everybody else's time. Please consider voting on the shelter, a good project manager, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, sir. Please give your name and your address if you will, please.
Certainly will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Chris Prince. I'm from District 1. First thing I'd like to do is join the EMA director in congratulating and thanking the first responders that did the great work down at the airport. That was a case that got national attention. And we presented, or they presented Carter County to the nation in a very fine manner. Very professional, very good job. But what I really wanted to speak to you commissioners about tonight, I think we're getting ready to make some appointments towards the financial committees and the subcommittees to do all these sorts of things. And I would like to ask you to consider a resolution that would restrict who can be appointed to these committees, most particularly the financial committees. Any Carter County employee or any Carter County commissioner that has a family member, a wife, daughter, mother, father, anybody in the immediate family that works for Carter County could be thought to be in a conflict of interest if they had to vote on or work with financial matters. Different matter when you're voting as a commission, but when you're on a committee, it's different. There was a draft report done by the Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernmental Relations, and it's entitled Government Employees Serving on County Commissions Managing Conflict and Interest to Maintain Integrity and Trust. That can be found on tn.gov, and it's about a 32-page report, but it goes into great detail. These folks that wrote the report, they'd gone nationwide and they had collected information and reasons why for and against conflict of interest cases. Let me read you just a little excerpt from it. Some Tennessee County Commissions limit potential conflicts of interest by forbidding commissioners to serve on certain committees. County commissions can and do consider conflicts of interest when making committee assignments. For example, some do not allow developers to serve on planning committees, and some do not allow county employees to serve on budget committees. Now, personally, I don't think there's anybody in this room that would fall into that conflict, but it is always possible to unknowingly stumble into some kind of a conflict of interest that could very possibly and very probably be avoided if that committee assignment just was never made. You might kind of liken it to assigning the fox to the hen house to decide what's going on with the chickens. I mean, the optics of it are such that we know, but everybody doesn't know, and a lot of people like to throw stone. So I would like to recommend to the committee that a resolution be discussed and passed that would limit the membership on the committees to those people that do not have any sort of conflict of interest, so that we don't have to go through the routine of trying to sort it out later. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, ma'am. Please again for the minutes, your name and address.
My name is Laura Rydell. I live on Piedmont Street. I addressed the planning and zoning at their July 23rd meeting. I sat hopeful as I saw pictures of property owners being contacted for not mowing their grass, falling porches, and trash not being properly disposed of. When I was allowed to speak about the business that is running a transitional home in my residential neighborhood, I was told it was given permits to run as a rental and was grandfathered in with all of the violations. These are homes that can have 8 to 9 men living in them with a revolving door. Unlike renters, they can be moved out for violating the rules of the recovery program within hours. One day we see men moving in, a few days later we see men being moved out with trash bags. At any time it is unclear how many men are there, what are their charges. I understand that they need a clean start and can live anywhere in our community, but to have a business running in our neighborhood was never discussed. It was forced on us. Recovery Soldiers chose to help these men, but has set them up for failure in our community by not following the laws and the rules. Why and how they got the permits is still not understood by myself or my neighbors. The mobile homes are not set off the roadway. One is on the roadway. The property is 0.6 acres. These properties have never been within zoning and planning rules and regulations. The property is too small for one mobile home, let alone two. The men that are living in these mobile homes park in the roadway. Due to limited space, they are blocking the road. That the homes are positioned against and on the roadway could block any rescue attempt for the homes and neighbors further down the road. All of this I discovered myself after being notified that they were planning on moving in registered sex offenders against children into these transitional homes. After finding that there were 3 registered sex offenders, all with charges against children, I contacted Recovery Soldiers to beg them, please do not move sex offenders up here where children live. I was told by Ben Cole that it was their property and they could have whoever they wanted there, and that I should be a better Christian. Ben Cole also said that they should not be judged by their labels. These are not labels, they are charges that have been proven in court. Recovery Soldiers has also said that they would pray for my bitterness when I spoke to them again on the phone about the transitional homes. I have made appointments with D.A. Brooks myself, and 3 other Carter County residents were there. One of them was Mr. Acuff from Planning and Zoning Committee. The 3 of us were property owners on our street. D.A. Brooks was given copies of the laws and asked for advice on how to help protect our families. I was told to be grateful that children are not molested twice, and that the laws were like stop signs. An officer can choose if and when they want to enforce and prosecute. Mr. Brooks had to be reminded that the law says that they could not house 3 registered sex offenders. I contacted Sheriff Lunsford to make him aware that they are going to city parks and are allowed to be in church activities after service. He said it was not his job, and to take pictures when I see them at the city parks and to call 911, and to talk to my pastor. That he was not going to interfere with their First Amendment rights. Yes, I understand that registered sex offenders may go to church, but the law does look down on registered sex offenders being in a Christmas play with children. I can tell you, when I called to report the men trespassing on my property and flying drones over my property, that I was told it was a misdemeanor. At this point, I cannot tell you that I have personally talked to the parole officer since she has never called me back.
Excuse me, ma'am, 5 minutes is up.
Hey, Mr. Lyons, can I give you 5 minutes of my time?
Were you going to speak, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, sir, I'm going to, but I get my time early.
You weren't going to?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have let our mayor, Mr. Barnett, know what is going on in Carter County. I sent him pictures of the registered sex offenders at our city parks, along with their charges, and made him aware of my year-long battle to get peace on my street. Even told him about my concerns of the men watching my minor daughter walk her dog and checking the mail. Mr. Barnett went and gave his endorsement and posed for pictures. Mr. Barnett did not call me back with any information. When I spoke to him on July 23rd, he acknowledged that he did not contact me back, but said that he did talk to my neighbor and assumed my neighbor would have spoke with me about what was said. In this transitional home, that is what Recovery Soldiers calls it, that's what they call the property, there are violent offenders with charges like burglary of an occupied dwelling and assault charges. These men are moved in before graduating from the recovery program. And at any time, the registered sex offenders could be moved in. Anyone with any number of charges or levels of violence can be moved in unsupervised, even before graduating from the program. This is a big concern for the families with children, some of which have disabled children. We are a neighborhood of retired couples, some elderly that live alone, and some young families. When both parents work and our children are home, we live in lockdown. We want our neighborhood back. I have provided everyone here today with proof in the form of pictures, emails, and text messages. Everyone can see the violations with a business in a residential area, violations with planning and zoning, violations with state laws and the sex registry. I have for a year now contacted the Office of Planning and Zoning, the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Department, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and still nothing has been changed for the public safety. Not only has my neighborhood not been protected, but they have been allowed to expand into the Biltmore area, and when more transitional homes are purchased, they will be given permits as rentals. Any neighborhood where a property is for sale is potentially a transitional home for recovery soldiers. With this petition I have started, some of the questions I have been asked are, how does a sex offender live or work 1 mile from a public school? Will the registered sex offender that has been hired have unlimited access to more children? How is a sex offender allowed in a Christmas play? Why are people not upset about the sex offenders in our public parks? How does a residential neighborhood function with a transitional house being moved into any property and given permits as a rental without no notice? Sorry. If our children are not safe from sex offenders at our public parks, at home, or at church, are our children safe in Carter County? Today it is my neighborhood, but at any time it could be yours. I also understand that the recovery programs are needed, but there has to be somewhere else. Carter County could have fixed this a year ago. Now I hope with this meeting and the information you have been given, everyone understands that now that there is no more plausible deniability.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else for public comments? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
She's not going to do this,
And the gatekeeper. Thank you, Doctor. Please state your name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Vista Clark. My address is 100 Ray Clark Road, Elizabethton. The purpose of my being here is an animal issue. Some of you know who I am, others don't. I'll tell you that I go back 35 years at least with animal-related issues. So long before the animal shelter was Elizabethton in Carter County, I was involved in starting the Carter County Humane Society. It was an Elizabethton-only shelter. So for those of us who had an interest in seeing that there was a service for Carter County, there were several of us who banded together and started Carter County Humane Society, and we basically took care of all of Carter County as far as injured, abandoned, what have any type of animal issue. We covered all of Carter County. And on a volunteer basis, I had boarded as many as 25 dogs at my home at one time, much to my husband's dismay. So I've seen the progression. I've been very pleased with most of what's taken place. There were some changes made that broke my heart to see volunteers put out of the animal shelter, a lot of that stuff that took place. I've supported and I've stayed out of it. I've tried to support. I'm pleased to see how the Sheriff's Department has handled, for the majority, I'm pleased to see how they have handled the neglect and cruelty part. I'm not very happy with the way general animal control is being handled. I think something needs to be looked at there. Frankly, I think it needs to be under the control of the animal shelter as far as just general animal control. I hesitated to say that publicly until I've heard things and I didn't want it to be hearsay, but now that I've been involved firsthand, I can tell you of a specific incident and how it was handled in my neighborhood. There was an incident just about, I can't give you the exact date, I should have it, I don't have any notes in front of me, I'm just coming to you from the heart. There was an incident in our neighborhood where a family recently had a death, and so it was at the home of Larry Sexton on Southside Road. It is in the city. And they lived just across from my daughter's home at 1836 Southside Road. The sons who don't live there, Rocky Sexton and Randy Sexton, are looking after the home of their father. So Rocky comes to get into his father's home, and there's a dog there that hasn't been seen before, and the little dog has just been laying in the yard, and my son-in-law had seen it, and I live just a half a mile from there, less than half a mile, about a quarter mile from where my daughter lives, and my husband had seen the dog. A cute little black dog, about the size of a beagle, I guess. And it doesn't look like that it's hungry. It's well fed. Hasn't caused any harm to my grandchildren. But we weren't sure about it. So this gentleman comes to get in, and the dog will not let him in his father's house. It was going to eat him alive. It was just protecting that house for some reason. We don't know why.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Your time is up now.
I'll give my time to Juanita McKinney.
Okay.
To visit, that's okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So to summarize this story quickly, he called for help. He called the police department in the city. And so the police came and they called for animal control. We waited an hour and a half for someone to get there. And so when someone finally arrived, they said, well, you have no choice but to shoot the dog. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sit right with me. We don't know whose dog this is to begin with. The dog hasn't caused any harms, and Rocky did not want to shoot the dog. He said, what happened to Freddie, our humane animal control officer, that would get a dog one way or another? And he didn't say, shoot the dog in the beginning. He said, I feel like this dog's just protecting. It's just being protective. It's probably been set out here. It's afraid. So the first information that I'm given is to kill the dog. I'm not going to kill the dog. I just need to get in my house. And is this the best services that we have now? So of course, word gets spread in the neighborhood, and everybody says, call Vista. She's the person to go to. And I'm getting lots and lots of calls of this type. So anyway, the dog, I've talked to Randy, and I've talked to, of course, others in the neighborhood. They're seeing the little dog. It's staying in a wooded lot there beside the sextons. My husband has tried. Dickie was well known as one that could catch most any animal anywhere. It's afraid. That's all we know, but we feel like that it could easily be trapped. And it's not been aggressive. It has not been aggressive toward my grandchildren. It's afraid. The sexton boys say, we're not going to kill the dog. That's not the answer. In this situation and others, we need an animal control person who knows how to handle a dog in that situation, who is just scared, who's probably been set out, or who may belong to someone somewhere close around. And we had have-a-heart traps that were up to this size at the time we were active. Because of my health, I'm no longer active in going out and doing that kind of thing. But doesn't there need to be someone who is associated with the animal shelter who can go on local calls and take care of this type of call, or even just a stray situation, and the sheriff's department be handling the neglect and cruelty? Shouldn't there be a division here? I'm concerned because I'm getting calls out the yin-yang. People still have my name. They know that I was president of the Humane Society for years and years. They know that we took in animals. They know, and it seems to me that we're going back 30 years when we don't have any animal control at all. Because when Freddie retired, no one took his place. And there's no animal control coming from the shelter that isn't permitted. So I seriously would like you to take a look at what the services are and allow some type of service to go as an animal control officer, a part-time officer that goes from the shelter into the county, into the city, and see if we can't do better than what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. Come on, ma'am. Give your name and address.
Yes. My name is Lisa Childress, and I live at 157 Cedar Grove Road.
Before you start, ma'am, could I interrupt you for just a second? If you could hold the clapping down, please. It could be disruptive. I appreciate it very much if you would do that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Do you need me to repeat that, sir?
Please.
Okay, my name is Lisa Childress, and I live in the west end of Carter County. I'll be a resident there. January will be 25 years. And one of the things I want to reiterate is the need of the shelter. I do volunteer animal transport for Mississippi, Arkansas, and some of your southern states. We come together as a group of people, as volunteers. We donate our time, our gas, our vehicle to get animals to the areas that don't have this problem. Your northern areas don't seem to have the problems that we have in the area that we live in as far as spay and neuter. So it's a great reward when I can help an animal get as far as Canada, being one of the transporters. It took about 51 volunteers to get 7 animals to Canada. That may not sound like a lot, but these animals had their shots, they've been spayed and neutered, and they went to really good homes. For years, I couldn't go into an animal shelter because I would become emotionally distraught. And several months ago, the good Lord led me to the Carter County Animal Shelter, and I walked through the doors, and it felt like coming home. And what I mean by that is the director, Shannon, and her team made me feel very welcome, and I walked through the shelter and saw the needs that are there. These needs are real. These needs come back to humanity. We need to get back to the humanity prospects. You may not be someone that is a big fan of animals, and that's fine. That's your choice. But we need to pay it forward. One of the things that we can do is get a project manager, get the repairs that need to be done at the shelter, do the expansion so we can get more animals in the shelter so we can see that they can be spayed or neutered and get the shots that we need. I'm on the board with the Friends of Elizabeth and Carter County Animal Shelter, and yes, we have some things that we would like to do. We have people that approach us with donations. They want to know what fundraisers that we're going to be having, what can we do to educate the children in the schools, because this issue in Carter County is generational. It's like it was said earlier, if your grandparents tied an animal to a tree, if your parents tied an animal to a tree, even you may have done that at some point. We need to break that generational type of thinking. We need to get back and educate, build the foundation that we need, and do what we need for the Carter County Animal Shelter, because we can only benefit. At this point, we cannot be reactive anymore. It's time to be proactive in what we're doing, because it's only going to better the community, the citizens, and the animals that are here that are unwanted and mistreated. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else for public comments? Anyone else? Come on up, sir. Please state your name and your address, sir.
Chris Dingus, Forsyth Drive here in Elizabeth. It was brought to my attention by somebody the other day that y'all spent $15,000 on a new county logo. Is that correct?
This is public comments section.
Well,
It's not.
it's kind of a rhetorical question.
It's not.
But the problem is $15,000 is an awful lot of money. And one lady was talking a little while ago about stretching a dollar, and it seems like for the money I'll pay for that logo, probably could have got something very similar down the stained glass place across from the Food City. It did not have the most iconic thing in Carter County, which is a covered bridge on it. It had what appeared to be a water lily. I don't know that I've ever seen water lilies here in Carter County. Further, did y'all even think to check for local artists that may possibly be able to provide that service for you for cheaper? Because I know there's plenty of artists. If you go down to Sycamore Shows, they had a big show the other day, had their art exhibits down there, and they had some really, really good artists down there. I know Ken Simmelink here in Carter County. He does some amazing work with animals that may not translate to logos, but the point is there's talented artists here that can do the job, I think, for probably way less than 15 grand. You might look at trying to keep some of that money in Carter County instead of shipping it out to some guy that just mass produces, cheap looking logos. It's something that needs to be addressed. You've got some pretty talented people right here in Carter County that deserve some recognition for their stuff. Why isn't that being done? It could very easily be, I know I run Tennessee Backroads Photography. Some of y'all know me, some of y'all don't. I don't charge nothing for anything I do. Anybody at the car show, a lot of people know me, I know Roy knows me back here. I don't charge nothing for nobody. I've done drone stuff for people, I've done photography, I promote the car show every week, but nobody's contacted me for anything. I think you could stay in-house, in-county with a lot of your stuff that you're putting, like I said, exorbitant amount of money out there. 15,000 is a lot to me, it may not be to y'all, but it is to me. And really do something positive in the county to help grow the economy here in the county, because if somebody lives here, they're gonna spend money here. And if you're putting 15 grand back into somebody's pocket, they're gonna spend it right here in Carter County. That seems like a way to grow local monies. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would come on up, man?
Hello, it's been a long time since I've been to commission, but I thought I would give an update being that I'm sorry, it's Angie Odom. So, Angie Odom, I'm actually here right now as the TLC Community Center, not as a resident, so I won't give my address. Even though I will have to say I'm a neighbor to some of the issues that's been talked about here tonight, so that is a different concern for me on a different time. I'm here because our center just completed the summer food program. And I don't mean any disrespect, because I have 4 animals at my house who I love very much. and half the time I'm picking up everybody else that's going down the road too. But I can tell you a big issue that I have is our kids in our own county that's hungry. Our kids right now that go into school every day, and we wonder why they don't smell too good, because they don't have money for shampoo, they don't have money for soap, and half of them don't have either front doors to even shut on the front of their house, and I can tell you that because I've been there this summer. So our center will be 20 years old. We're not a new organization, we're kind of old. When I say that, when we're 20 years old. So we're not new news, we're not that exciting to hear because we've been around for a while. But what I can tell you is God allowed us this summer to feed over 80,000 meals in Carter County, and we've also started feeding Bristol, Tennessee, and Virginia. We've done that. Never once have I come to this commission and asked you for money, have we? For those that were here years ago, we've never took one red cent from this county, nor the city, nor the state, nor the government. That is what this community does. We come together, we give a donation, and we make sure it goes where it needs to go. And it also gets there thanks to people of this community. I've had school aides that volunteer their time and drive in a van every day. I have a little boy right now who can't even go to their community college because he's 20 years old, his mom don't have a car, he don't have a driver's license, and he lives in Lynn Valley. But he drove his bike every day to the center for the last 2 summers to volunteer with us. Friday he started a new job, he's riding a bike there, but he has a job. How are we supposed to encourage colleges when our school buses don't take them there? You try to run school tomorrow without a school bus and tell me how many kids you're going to have at school. How are they supposed to help feed themselves when they're not in school anymore? We have high schoolers that graduate that are still hungry when school gets out. So I don't mean any disrespect with anyone who is caring about animals, because I love them. I do. But you look into the eyes of a child and tell them why they should go hungry in our county. Better yet, in the United States, because I was been around the world and back. But let me tell you, we have issues right here at home. You don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to get on a bus to find hungry kids. If you want to see some issues or some areas to help, you come see me at the TLC. I will drive you to their yard. I will take you to their home. And on the other hand, I will forever, as long as there are breath left in me, help protect the kids of Carter County. And that means the times that I pick up the phone and find sex offenders in the city and county where they're not supposed to be. I'm not picking on anybody, but I will help protect the children. And I think you all know that about me in the last 20 years. I want to help, but I want to protect. And these kids can't speak up for themselves. So I ask you to help us do that. Help us feed and take care of our kids here. And when you're making future plans, if any of your plans involves a parent putting a kid in the car and coming to a school for food, I can already tell you, the kids that need it aren't going to get there. You have to take the food to the children. That's the only way they're going to get it. So I thank you, this county, for the support for almost 20 years now. That was our 17th summer we just completed with all these thousands of food, amounts of meals, that it's just overwhelming for me to see and to grasp the concept of that. But it's not what one person does, it's what our community does, but it's what God has allowed us to do through this community. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. Anyone else, public comments?
I'm Shannon Posada, and I'm the Elizabeth and Carter County Animal Shelter Director. I know there's been some discussions. I just want to clarify just a few things that has been discussed in the 2 different committees that we've been through. First of all, we was granted a lady, an anonymous donor, donated $12,000 to the Friends of the Shelter, and that was to provide a commercial washer and dryer for the animal shelter. We went to put that in when Mr. Schuler was over the project manager. There was not a vent system because it was propane. This washer does 2.5 loads compared to where we was at before. So now we can do our laundry in a more timely fashion. In the process of installing it, when we talked to the people from Pigeon Forge, there had to be a vent system in the roof. There had to be a propane line that was put in. When we go to the hot water tank that was already in the shelter, I think it cost about $8,000 to put that in previously. It was not put into code, okay? So that had to be brought up to standards, put into code. And of course, Chris found that problem. He worked with the guys from the, where we bought the commercial washer and dryer, and that was all fixed. The propane lines was fixed. He came and he helped us move the washer and dryer to a new location. So we have one with the cat section of our shelter. These are just the little things that we need a project manager for, and I know it's been around, but we have many donors who want to donate money. There's a lady right now who's wanting to give $10,000. I am not going to accept the money until I can promise her the project's going to be done, because I feel it's a disgrace to take that money and sit it in a bank account somewhere, and when she comes to the shelter and says, when's this project going to get started, and I have no date, I'm not going to do that to her because I don't feel it's fair. When you all look at this Carter County Animal Shelter, I want each one of you to look and say, I'm proud of that shelter, because that's my main goal. I strive for that. I want you all to be proud of what you see, what you put your money into, and I want the citizens of Carter County to say that we spent their money wisely. We've done everything we can to cut costs. And Brad can tell you, just about every cycle, we turn money right back in, because we're cutting costs every way that we can. There has been talk about a lien being put on the shelter. That's correct. That's from Trademark, because the grinder pump is still not working correctly. It's been several months. We've complained about the grinder pump, and still we have an alarm that goes off on the grinder pump. I spoke with Reedy and Sykes. I spoke with Trademark. I spoke with the engineers. They've all come up there. I still have a grinder pump issue. So the money has been put on hold until they can fix the grinder pump and everything over there work correctly. This has already been paid for in the new construction of the dog runs and the roof that was constructed through the water estate. It's still having issues. I myself, I'm not a builder, I'm not a plumber, I'm not an electrician. This is why that we need a project manager, because I don't know anything about it. So I want you to strongly consider, when this discussion comes up, that people's out there, they take these animals seriously, and they want to donate money, and that saves money from our taxpayers. But you all have to work with us, give us a project manager so we can get these projects done, and so that we can be fair to the people when they do donate the money and the project can be done on a timely manner. Our HVAC system, we want to say we're thankful for. It's working great. We don't worry about winter coming on, because we know if they're inside, they're going to be heated this year. That's one concern that we've had for the past 2 years that I've been there. So thanks for getting our HVAC system going. It's working great. If you all have not been there, I welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, sir. Please give us your name and address.
Roy Livingston, Hampton, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you all know by now, I guess, that we've been watching this money for a pretty good while. And this ain't small money we're looking at. It's multi-millions. And I don't understand, we just got through making a budget, to my understanding, and it's ready to go to Nashville. Now they're going to start moving money around. And this is some of the deal, like back when the O.U. Bear was here, that he did. He'd wait till after the budget was made, Then they'd go find money, so he said, and then they'd come back and get together and take it and divide it up amongst each other. And I don't know what exactly is going on here. We're trying to learn as we go. But now this you taxpayers' money. And if they're going to make a budget, they need to stick to this budget. And I don't know, it'd be my opinion, if this budget goes to Nashville like this and they didn't put all this money and stuff in it, they may kick it out. So it'd be something for you guys to think about, maybe ask questions about. But now we are keeping an eye on this money. And there's a whole lot of it, multi-millions. And there's nobody in the past, I don't think, but just a few of us has been watching this. And I would say that this last 2 years in a row saved you taxes from getting raised. Because we know the money where most of it is. And I won't take more of your time because I know you've been distressed, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on public comment?
Mr. Chairman.
I think it's time for us to take a 10-minute recess.
Mr. Chairman, can the commissioner have 5 minutes?
Can you do that in commissioner's comments, Mr. Von Cannon?
Would be pertinent comments, yes.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. Then we'll come back. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Aycock if he will come up and introduce our speaker.
As many of you know, the Health and Welfare Committee had a number of goals and objectives this year. One of those was to look at the issue of hunger in our county. And several months ago, Commissioner Holden Ward and I attended a legislative breakfast for the Second Harvest Food Bank in Memphis, Tennessee. We have the director with us tonight, Rhonda Chapin. She has been the director of that food bank since 1993, and she'll tell you that her efforts started in Carter County before they went to Johnson City, before they went to Gray, and before they went to the particular place that they're in now in the old Sam's building in Kingsport, right off of 81. She's a native of Bristol, so she knows our area well, graduated Virginia Intermont with a BA degree in business administration. She has been very active in all communities in their leadership programs, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, Union County, Johnson County, all in their leadership programs, and has drawn a lot of people, obviously, to the food bank. She's led their building campaigns. She's been very much involved, and it's a passion for her to talk about this particular issue of hunger, particularly in the counties that, in addition to those others that are in the 1st Congressional District. I won't steal all of her thunder, but she has done a lot with new initiatives for the Second Harvest Food Bank. Kids Cafe, Food for Kids, Backpack Kids Program, Prepared and Perishable Rescue Foods Programs, Mobile Food Bank, Mobile Pantry Programs. In 2018, the food bank distributed approximately 11 million pounds of food to over 150 nonprofit charities, 70 mobile sites that feed the hunger in our 8 counties that are surrounding. If you haven't been to their facility, I encourage you to call Rhonda up and make it a time to go see it. It's phenomenal. It's one of the largest, I think, in the state. And I think Memphis is building one that's going to be a little bit larger, but they can handle volumes and volumes and volumes of food. We're very fortunate to have her tonight, so please welcome her. So, thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Commissioner Aycock. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Commissioners, Mayor,
and everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to share a little bit about Second Harvest Food Bank. It was good to have our legislators in June talk about hunger. And our primary focus at Second Harvest is to make sure that people have enough food to eat. In this county, when I started out here in Carter County, when the food bank was located in the old Topper Egg building, we knew that that facility was not large enough to serve the entire 8-county region, even though we tried very hard to do that for about 10 years. So we moved to Gray, and then from Gray we moved to our current facility in the Sam's Club. So I'm going to start the presentation, and I'll try not to take too much time. I talked about our mission is to feed the hungry by securing and distributing food and engaging our community in the fight to end hunger. And that's our primary focus. I really appreciate what Angie Odom said. She is one of our community agencies, and the work that she does is incredible, and her volunteers, because when she feeds children and provides 80,000 meals during the summer, that's a wonderful effort that we don't have to concentrate on. So we thank her for that, and the volunteers and supporters. So last year we looked at our vision and our goals for moving forward, and we're part of a national organization called Feeding America. And our goal is for hunger-free America, but it's also for a hunger-free Northeast Tennessee. And our goal is to make sure that everyone has access to food. Children, families, the working poor, seniors, veterans, so I'm going to talk about that. Solving hunger today and solving hunger tomorrow. Everyone can benefit from having enough nutritious food, and no one is at risk of hunger. Everyone should have enough food to eat. Truly, they should have enough food to eat. It's a basic necessity for all of us, for children to learn, for seniors to have good health, for families to have good health. We all need good, nutritious food and enough of it to survive and thrive. Hunger becomes unacceptable. It's unacceptable for a child, an individual, a veteran, a senior to not have enough food. By 2025, Feeding America and our food bank, in collaboration with partners, our agency, to ensure enough access to nutritious food for people struggling with hunger and making meaningful progress to ending hunger. We have 4 areas that we're going to focus on moving forward to 2025. We're going to increase access to nutritious food. We're going to improve diet quality, and I'm going to talk about how we're going to do that and how we're doing that right now in this county. Food security for working families, and increase public passion to end hunger. And so we serve all the counties, as Commissioner Acuff said, in our population in the 8-county area. And during fiscal year 2018, we distributed nearly 11 million pounds of food. It's 10.8, and that's 9 million meals in Northeast Tennessee. You can see the activities in the distribution, and that last picture is here in Carter County at one of our senior sites that we distribute food. You can see how the food bank works. We're the only food bank in the 8-county region, and we are the distributor. We're just like the big distributor for all the retail grocers, just like a Food City or a Walmart or a Food Lion or a Kroger. We are the distribution center for these outlets. And so we get national donations, which has been on the decline for many years. And we also get local food sources. That's also been on the decline for many years. So we purchase a lot of food. And Commissioner Acuff, I'm going to let you pass these out. That has our strategic plan, and it also has some more information in it. But we provide local food through local food sources like food drives, government commodities, purchase food. And then we give it to all the agencies that I shared with you, and you can see those. And they in turn serve those in need: children, seniors, working poor families. Okay? And here's the facility at the old Sam's Club at the airport. Okay? We talked about the agencies, we talked about the programs. We do a food rescue program, so we connect many agencies like Hale Community Ministries. They go to Walmart. We connect ARM. They go to Walmart and they pick up food. We connect them to Food City. We've opened doors for all of our agencies to pick up food, and we also pick up food. The third photograph is our model food pantry that I'll talk about. But this food rescue program, we rescue food from retail grocers. We're looking at restaurants, hospitals, hotels, caterers, and we're always looking for new donors that can help out. Our Food for Kids backpack program, and that's one that you can see in the brochure, and you can see the amount of, I'm going to share with you Carter County in just a minute, but this program served 4,600 children in over 139 schools during the school year in 2018, and it was $100 per year to sponsor a child. The Summer Food Service Program, that's a program that Ms. Odom was speaking of. We operated a mobile unit actually in Carter County. We didn't have to do that this year because of their efforts at her organization, and a big thank you to them for doing that. But the Summer Food Service Program provided 28,000 meals, 6,783 snacks, and 2,269 children at feeding mobile sites. And we had nearly, last year, nearly 70 sites throughout the region. Our mobile food bank, we operate throughout the region. It delivers food once a month to an average of Second Harvest partner agencies that lack resources to visit the warehouse. So we bring our mobile food bank over and we deliver food to Hale's Community Ministries. They don't have the resources for the mobile food bank, so we deliver food to them. We deliver to ARM when they don't have the trucks or the volunteers. We bring food to them directly. The mobile produce pantry, and I'll talk about the mobile produce pantry. You'll probably see our mobile produce pantry in housing authorities. You'll see it throughout low-income communities that really don't have affordable groceries, and it's basically fresh produce that we source from all over the country from national growers. Going to go back one. The mobile food pantry, and that delivers food directly to people in need of emergency food assistance to over 60 sites, mostly rural and underserved areas. We go up in a Roan Mountain. We're in rural areas of Butler that we're doing our mobile food pantry. And we distributed about 1.3 million pounds of food through the mobile food pantry. And one comment from an individual said, we can either stay in our house or eat. And they were recently unemployed, person at a mobile food pantry distribution. And the senior grocery program, and this photograph is of one of our recipients over to the far left in Carter County, and that's Dick, and he comes every month, and he said, I don't have enough food in my house, and it's a Section 8 housing, and he receives food, and he's so grateful. Every month he looks for the senior grocery program, and the senior grocery program distributes across the street at the Section 8 housing as well. And so we have 952 seniors that are over the age of 55 that receive food. So 66,140 individuals in Northeast Tennessee is food insecure, according to the Map the Meal Gap. That's a detailed analysis of food insecurity. And we serve approximately 40,000 individuals each month, so we know there's still a tremendous gap in the service that we provide to individuals. Go back one. So you can see hunger by the numbers, the current situation in Northeast Tennessee. You can see Hancock, Hawkins, Greene, Washington, Carter, Unicoi, Carter, Sullivan, and Johnson counties. And you can see in Carter County the numbers, 15% food insecure. And you can see also that threshold of those that are above the threshold of receiving federal assistance. So there's 1.3 million meals provided, but the gap is 1.4 million meals. So Carter County, here's a little bit more information that's very helpful in Carter County. We have 11 Carter County schools, 371 students, and in 5 Elizabethton City schools, 141 students that receive the backpack program. These are children that are food insecure that we've allowed the schools to identify. We don't identify. We raise the money, and we provide good, nutritious food that we purchase to children every other week that they take home. And here in Carter County, a couple of years ago, I received a call from Department of Human Services, and they said, we just want you to know that your program is making an impact in our county. And they went on to say that they went into the home and removed a child from the home that was not receiving good care. And they found our containers and our information under the trailer where the child had gone under the trailer to consume their meals. So we know it makes a big difference, specifically for those children that may not receive enough or their parents don't provide enough. The summer food service program, 1,872 children were served in 18 at 9 sites. We did provide some assistance to some stationary sites where Angie's program doesn't provide. The mobile food pantry, we're on Sunflower Lane in Watauga, Lynn Ridge Apartments. We're at Carter Christian, we're at First United Methodist Church, we're at Valley Forge, Sunset Freeville Baptist, and we provide food to individuals that come to the mobile food pantry. We have agencies in Carter County and also in Butler. At Little Milligan, Karen Shares in Butler, we have 2 Roan Mountain agencies and 13 Elizabethton agencies that depend on Second Harvest for the majority of their food assistance. And then we also just recently, we have Vicki in the room, and she helped us with stabilizing lives, stabilizing communities, a new program that UT Extension helped us with. Thank you, Vicki. But we were at East Side Freeville Baptist Church on August the 17th, and what we did there is not only do we want to provide food assistance to individuals, but we want to connect them to services. What if we could stabilize? That's part of our strategic plan if you look at it. If we could connect people to services, if we could connect them to job training, if we could connect them to housing, staple food supply, SNAP, whatever they may need. They may not need the mobile food pantry. And so we're trying to do more in that area of connecting people to services. Veterans Serving Veterans is coming soon, and we're going to be working with the VFW in Carter County to help veterans that may need food assistance. We also work with Upper East Tennessee Human Development Agency at the First Baptist Church distributing food. Mobile Produce Pantry at the Elizabethton Housing Authority, Ridge Circle, South Hills, Hemlock. And then the Senior Grocery Pantry is in Courtyard Apartments. And there's one other, but I noticed that it wasn't on the list and I could not remember, and that's where my friend Dick is. And he does a great job there. Okay, so we're gonna go on over. And just want to thank the community for support of Second Harvest. We could not do the work that we do without community support. It's mostly individual support. We don't receive funding from the county. To my knowledge, we have not received funding during my time at Second Harvest for the last 27 years. I know that time has passed. Hopefully in the future, if there's a possibility of an investment in the work we do, I think it's a great investment. But while I'm here tonight, and I think that Commissioner Acuff and all the other commissioners that visited Second Harvest, we want to encourage the entire community to get behind the work that we're doing. If we were able to provide additional backpacks, right now we have a waiting list of many counties for children that need a pack of food because we budgeted only so much money. And so we need support. Last year our backpack program was $160,000 in the red, so we had to use money from the general for other programs to support the backpack program. So we desperately need support from the county and from other counties and individuals to support the backpack program, because we know that children need nutritious food, and those specifically that are chronically hungry. So we just want to encourage the county and community individuals, corporations to support our work, and that's why I'm here tonight. But I want to thank you all for the opportunity, and thank you for coming out to see the work that we're doing. We couldn't do it without community support. There's other ways to help, and that's volunteer, donate food and grocery products, start a food pantry. We're glad to work with other organizations. We're glad to work with those that want to stretch their dollars, be a corporate sponsor, or just help spread the word about hunger and the possible solutions in your community. So thank you so much. I don't know if there's time for questions. I know it's been a long night. You've had a lot of public comments.
Absolutely. Questions for later? Any questions? Comments?
Ron, just one comment. I counted 27 agencies that distribute in Carter County. There are 32. Evidently, some churches have food banks that are not part of their world. He says that Christian Home is not on the list.
They do get food from us, and they may just not be active at the time. We actually just made we recently made a grant. We wrote a grant, and we also we received a small endowment, and we actually provided a refrigeration system to the home. Yes.
Farms not on the list, but you provide food for them.
They are in that number. They are in that total number of agencies. ARM is in there, Hill Community Ministries is in there. We just didn't list them specifically, but they're in there. And then all of our mobile locations we've listed by but I can get you, and I'm glad to provide that, a list of specific agencies broken down. I can do that for you and provide that if you'd like. I'll provide that for Commissioner Acuff, and he can get that to you.
Other questions? Anything else?
Not really a question, just a comment. Thank you for everything that you do. I know where my wife is, she sees a lot of the kids that you provide programs and stuff to, and it does make a huge impact, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? We do thank you for the work you're doing, historically and presently, very much. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Let's give her a hand.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Blevins.
Yes, it's been the proper time as any. As far as the resolution of the 1972 Act concerning county commissioners and the planning committee, I'd like to make a motion that we put in a resolution to do away with the 1972 Act as far as the planning commission is concerned.
Is that in reference, what is that in reference to, Commissioner Blevins?
Well, it's in reference to this past week of the county commission, the planning committee. They met and give $14,000, a little over that, as a bonus to Chris. And it never was brought before the budget committee or the full commission. And my understanding was that it was took out of 2 line items.
Okay, what would be your motion then?
My motion is that we send a ratification tonight for to do away with the 1972 Act that puts the full commission, and we can vote on who's on the board, not the mayor appoint nobody.
I'm gonna have to bring in on this. Mr. Hart, I think he hasn't actually made a motion yet. I think he's talking about doing away with it and creating a resolution. He can bring it back to the committee or.
Yeah, I think he's referred to the Private Act adopted in 1972 to establish the planning commission here.
Okay.
That's what he's
Okay.
referencing. I think he's suggesting that it be rescinded and that we operate under general state law. I would surmise. But I don't know if this is the time you want to entertain that or not. It's up to you.
Mr. Blevins, could we go ahead and move this back to committee reports?
That'd be fine, sir.
You think that would be good? Okay, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is the consideration of the cooperation agreement for the emergency communications 911. You all have that in your packet. I think you probably had time to review that. Do I hear a motion? Do I hear a motion to approve this?
I make the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Holden to approve, second by Commissioner Prophet. Any discussion on this agreement? Any discussion? No discussion? Please call the roll. Please reveal the vote.
Charlie.
Charlie.
Thank you. Motion carried. The next thing on our agenda is the maintenance service agreement on the elevator. You all have that in your packet as well, so I'll open the floor for a motion on this as well. Commissioner Johnson made the motion. Do I hear a second? Dr. Acuff, second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll. Please reveal the motion passed. Thank you very much. You also have this in your packet. This is the grant, the Boyd Foundation, consideration $25,000 Dog Park Dash grant. Do you hear a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Commissioner Frazier, second. Commissioner Hill, Mike Hill. Any discussion? Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions that I'm unsure of. One, accepting this grant, where is this to be installed or used at? And the second one is, if it happens to be the new part that we're working on, how's that? We're receiving money, if accepting this grant, but we haven't got anything else done to put down. How does it go in coordination time factor with the construction?
Mayor Barnett, can you help with this?
I just want to make it clear that when we received this, I got some of the comments on Facebook that we need that money in place. I just want to make it clear that that sign just for that dog dash, we cannot move that money. When we accept it, it has to go to that park, and it's for the new park.
That on the west end?
Yes, but I just want to make it clear that it has to go. The one thing that it has to go for that. People say we need to put other money, need the money for other places. That fund, it has to go.
It's designated for that purpose.
Exactly, that's where it has to go, so I just want to make that
And
clear.
it is, let me clarify one thing, Mayor, if I could. It's off of Mary Patton Road, is that the part
It
you're
is,
talking
yes,
about?
yes it is.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the great concern is that we have not been presented on the building and grounds, been presented by the Park and Recreation as to their schedule of what comes forth. So if you take a grant and there's been no plans as such, is there time limitations on the money? What happens with it?
Mayor Barnett, is that something that you could take back to the Building and Grounds Committee and start that committee?
My understanding is no time frame on that. We accepted it and it's ours when we get ready for it.
So as long as we have it in a designated fund?
Yes.
It can sit there until we utilize it, is that
Yes.
correct, sir?
That's my understanding.
Commissioner Johnson, does that help?
Yeah, the only thing I'm concerned with the plan of the construction of that park by the Park and Recreation Board. if this fits in their time schedule, and then they're made aware of this for their use for this particular subject there.
If you want me to.
Could you?
Well, this request was forwarded to me and the mayor, I think, from Ken Goods and Park and Rec. And my understanding is they complied with the terms and participated in this contest. And it was a contest across the state to win this grant. As far as the actual time frame of it being spent, wasn't included in the documents that I received. You got what I received. There was reference made to the contest rules, which I couldn't find even on the website. But my understanding, at least from that this was awarded for the construction of the dog park, which they set out in the contest to win it and comply with those terms. So I'm not aware of any restrictions other than it has to be used to develop a dog park.
And Mr. Burke, that could be set aside and designated funds, is that correct? And stay there until we get into this. Does that help, Commissioner Johnson?
Well, still doesn't answer whether the Park and Recreation has this incorporated in their grant scheme or their plan as to, we're not able financially to do the whole thing, but we give them any money at all, they can start the little bitty thing, we can hook this on with.
Commissioner Frazier?
Ken did point out during the budget cycle that this was a grant that they were going for, they just weren't sure that they were actually going to get it. So at that time, they had made no additional plans, but in the original plans, there is a section stuck in there for quote-unquote dog park. Specifically what those plans are, though, I don't think they had any at that time originally.
Commissioner Johnson?
I'm
You okay?
fine, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I hear a motion to approve. Motion to approve, Ms. Holder, and second by Commissioner Jenkins. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. These will be able to vote. Motion passed. Thank you. Mayor Barnett, if you want to come on up, sir, and give your report. Appreciate it very much.
First off, I want to get started up. Several people already said it. Our emergency response was great. I think right now, I'm hearing about it. I don't get tired of talking about it because that was a great thing. I mean, it could have been a lot more tragic. Everybody worked together. Usually got some of the big dogs coming in to take over, but everybody worked together. I spent quite a few hours up there myself, and I watched them how they worked together. So hats off to our emergency responders. I'm very proud to be a part of it in the past, and I still support it right now. Most of my stuff's going to be covered with, I let the committee chairs usually cover. We did get the annex, keeping our hallway was leaking. We did get it fixed, and we got a couple more. Ms. Lay will take care of that. I am happy to report 2 lawsuits that were brought against us. Richardson versus Carter County was one of them, and the one with the constable, he's still liable, but they dropped us, but we're still pursuing that against him. So there are 2 lawsuits we're out of. Hopefully, at our next Building and Grounds meeting, SkyVets broadband, we're hoping, they seem like they're very interested in the broadband. We'll come to a presentation for the Building and Grounds, and hopefully full commission next month for broadband. That's something we need to work on. They're very interested. They've been about 2 or 3 times, and they've sent a lot of a lot of literature and stuff, so hopefully September 3rd, it'll be presented to the building and grounds. And that's about all I got. And next, my last thing is a biggie, on the, where I promoted the soldier recoveries. I did not endorse them. I went to visit complaints. I went to visit complaints about sex offenders. They reported they had no sex offenders in their program at that time. I wasn't over there to do planning and zoning and all that. I just went to ask that. While I was there, I've never been there. I toured the facilities, which I did. I asked them if they needed anything from me, and one of them said a couple of Bibles. So I went and ordered a case of Bibles myself, and Anthony Rogers from the rescue squad, we ordered it out of our own money. We ordered a case of Bibles. A week later, I took it back when they came in, took it back and delivered a case of Bibles, and they want a picture made. They want a picture, so if that's bad, I apologize, but any questions for me? Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, it's time for committee reports. Maybe this is where we can get back to your motions that you brought back. Mr. Gardner. Chair of the Budget Committee, Animal Shelter, Agriculture. I think you're on several of them.
Not that.
No, are you sure?
I can't handle that much pressure today, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your time. We'll lead off with agriculture. It'll be brief. Thank Ms. Vicki for being here. All those girls there, the fair's going on this week, Washington County Fair, the fairgrounds in Gray, so they've got a lot of activities and things going on there. Really no report. We're going to meet tomorrow, 4 o'clock at the extension office. Go over, cover some stuff, good things to talk about. Really no report at this time. And then we will move on to budget. And I want to thank Brad for, he's worked out. I know last month we had a tough time following through. What we will do, if you get your minutes out, what I have to go off of will follow the minutes. And I will start on new business, because Dr. Ward, he came to give a presentation there early, had to take off, so we covered his amendments early, so he could get going. So if you look on your budget minutes, thanks Susie for preparing those for us, but they should follow along with what I have. I can use my microphone. Check. All right, I'll go ahead and get started. The first item will be, and I'll put this in the form of a motion, to approve General Purpose School Fund 141, Amendment 1, 11 items, $79,702.76.
Is there a second on the motion? Is there a second on the motion, Mr. Travis Hill? Discussion, questions?
There, 13 will come out of the General Purpose School Fund balance on that. And that will be new equipment for schools and costs associated with the new website. Yeah, I think the minutes are wrong. We'll have to work that out. It's $79,702.76. I noticed that, Patsy, though. Okay. All right.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Please reveal the vote. Motion passed, Chairman.
Thank you. The next item I'll put in the form of a motion is to approve School Federal Projects Fund 142, 6 items, a total of $3,886,552.34, nothing from fund balance.
The second on that motion? Second. Second. Dr. Acuff, second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed, Chairman.
The next item I'll put in the form of a motion to approve Central Cafeteria Fund 143, Amendment 1, $3,000, and all of it coming from their unassigned fund balance. This is for a salary increase for a supervisor.
Your second. Second, Commissioner Frazier. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, please call the roll. Reveal the vote. Now we go vote. Thank you. Motion passed, Chairman.
All right. Next item, I'll put in the form of a motion to approve General Purpose School Fund 141 pre-K budget for a total of $302,893.22, nothing from fund balance.
Your second on the motion? Second, Commissioner Blevins. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Motion passed. Thank you.
Mr. Bailey?
On the very first part of this vote, where you done the first part where it said 70,702.76, I think when you said, did it come up 79,702, I need to abstain by the second part of that. And I voted because you said so.
As a combination, I think.
I voted yes, but I need to abstain.
Commissioner Bailey needs to abstain.
Because I think
that
what
very
you've
first
done.
was that first motion. Is that what it was?
Ross, I think it was, and I think Brett said that we combined the...
Mix up on the numbers, is that the one you're talking about, Commissioner?
Yeah, because, I mean, I can vote on the 70,000, but I have to abstain on the 9,000, and that's the way you've done it when you put it together. I voted, but the thing is, I can't vote on the second part. So I need to abstain on the second part of that for the 9,000.
Can we change that? We have noted that, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Go ahead, Sam.
Pre-K, 3,000. Is that right? Okay. Next one I have is a motion to reserve 20% of total of unclaimed funds from the state, received from the state in July of 2019. This will be leaving an unrestricted balance of $146,727.73, which will be appropriated to go to unassigned fund balance. 20% to be reserved, $36,681.94.
Second. Second. Commissioner Mike Hill. Discussion. Commissioner Johnson has a question.
One question, the Finance Director, Mr. Chair, with this $146,727.73, that's to go on the side that does not go to capital projects. Is that correct? Or will that be split just like everything?
What's set aside for capital projects would be the expenditures. That'll go in a revenue account.
The resolution was at the end of the year, when everything was come back in at the end of August, when you do your final calculations, that's where the split is 50-50. One is for the unobligated encumbrance, and the other is go for capital building improvements. Okay, where does this fall? And it's unencumbered, it's going to go in our general fund.
Okay, it will just roll into unassigned fund balance.
Well, all of that's unassigned, there's another assigned. That's fine, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Any other questions?
state aid. 341, 740. Is there an addition to that?
This is just a project. Like I said.
Okay. Okay. Confusion there on my part. So the next item is, and I'll put in a formal motion to approve a state aid bridge project. This is Big Sandy Road over Stony Creek for a total of $341,740.11. No matching funds required.
Second on the motion, Commissioner Close. Any discussion? Please call the roll. Please reveal the vote.
Well, you vote for it.
Motion passed. Chair. Commissioner Blair, second that motion.
The chairman.
Pardon?
She asked who made the motion.
Yeah. Let me clarify. You asked me who seconded the motion, right? That was Commissioner Blevins. And the chairman made the motion. Go ahead, Chairman.
The next item I'll put in the form of a motion is to approve an advertisement for a part-time employee to serve as the county's project manager. This individual will be paid on hourly wage and appointed by county commission. And this is just to approve the advertisement to be put in the paper through the clerk's office.
Your second on the motion? Second, Commissioner Travis Hill. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, who wrote on the RFP, who wrote the standards or the minimum requirements for this application for that job? Because no Tom, Dick, and Harry can do it, so if we're going to hire a professional person, who's going to, is that been done? It was discussed in committee, but.
I'm in the process of working on it right now. I do not have it completed this.
So that,
I don't think it's an RFP anymore because it's not being contracted service. It's an employee, so they just need job classification and
but still,
qualifications.
we have minimum qualifications for that.
Sure.
From what I understand from that committee.
Commissioner Frazier, is that something you all are working on? Is that what I understood?
Yes, sir. We'll send it to the county attorney for his final okay, as well as it through the appropriate committees as well.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
More of a comment, really.
Yes, sir.
I would say bring it in front of us when it's complete. I would strongly recommend bringing it in front of us when it's complete, because I can't support nothing.
I could agree with that. We went round and round on this, and it was tough to come to a conclusion. For that, time was of the essence, and that's kind of why we tried to move this forward as quick as we could to get it in the paper. I will retract my motion. I will take that off the table for this, to let us work this out, have it presented to, I guess we can send it to Animal Shelter Board or Budget Committee Board when we have a appropriate advertisement ready for the job.
So you withdrew your motion?
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
Go ahead, Chairman.
All right, the next item, and this will run on the same topic here, and I want to leave this open, but this will be to approve funding of $30,000 for the county's project manager, funding to be provided from revenue account 44-170, and this is miscellaneous refunds.
Your second on the motion?
Second.
Second. Commissioner Ward, any discussion, questions for the chairman?
Well, I left that open as far as not making a motion from my position.
Oh, I'm sorry, misunderstood. You're making the motion.
I'll second.
Your motion by Ms. Ward, Commissioner Ward, second by Commissioner Bailey. Now, any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Johnson.
Mr. Chair, is this amount of $30,000, is that establishing a full-time or a part-time?
Well, this was a part-time employee, and this included, well, there's, no benefits to be included in that, there's 30,000.
Commissioner Hill?
Yes, sir, thank you. I do not support this either. I stated publicly at the budget workshop, and I'll go back to the time is of the essence comment. Time was not of the essence 6 months ago. This has been on everyone's radar since the temporary fix was put into place. I did state at the budget workshop that some funds needed to be allocated during the budget process. What we're proposing to do now, that we haven't had a plan, we had nothing. We've had the temporary fix and then nothing. So now we're proposing to take out of savings and draw against this found money from the unclaimed funds from the state to fund this thing behind the budget. It wasn't an emergent issue. It certainly could have been taken care of properly during the budget process. For that reason, I do not support this measure.
Any other comments? Commissioner Collins?
Well, I'd like to say that it's not really the Budgets Committee to make up the qualifications for this project manager in the first place. That's another committee that should have come up with those when they were brought to us last Monday or whenever we met, the Budget Committee met. That's not our committee's job to come up with qualifications, so that committee should have come up with qualifications to begin with before any price was set on what we were going to pay somebody.
And much debate during the budget meeting, I know that, and we were going around and around, and we're, like you say, time was not of the essence 6 months ago. We feel that it's that way now, and without some proper action, it's going to continue to go on. So we moved it forward, and now it's in front of you for a vote.
Still, any other questions? Commissioner Jenkins? Would you clarify the motion?
Yeah, I mean, this is for, to approve funding of $30,000 for a county project manager. This will be a part-time position. This position will take applications, will be brought to us as a full-body commission here, just like we have a nomination for any other, an outside board. The applications will be presented through the clerk's office. We'll get to make a decision on who we want to fill this position, to look over the numerous projects throughout the county that we got going on.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Johnson?
Mr. Chair, thank you. That was in attendance with the various subcommittees that has been discussing the project management system. There was two sides of it. One of the sides of it was for future projects coming up that they could be assigned as the projects are bidded out. The second part was where we have immediate need of projects that are ongoing, contractors are assigned, that funds are being sent to the financial director, and there's no oversight at all. So trying to disseminate over here to the one side, we just said, we got to fill the qualifications now. Now, on the other side, we've got $30,000. Is that to take care of the immediate start tomorrow morning, whenever we get somebody, can find somebody to do that and watch on the project? We've got more than $1 million projects going on right now.
Yeah, this was our solution to set this money aside for that position.
Is that for the immediate, or is that down the road?
I mean, that's, once we get it established and get the advertisement.
I think this is the pay position you just put off advertising for. Is what this is. This is the employee, what we just said we're going to make later. This is the pay for that position.
So that's funding in the first place.
Right.
But that,
Commissioner Holden? Commissioner Holden?
The motion on which we just voted is stated that this will be a part-time employee to be paid an hourly wage. Has that been determined? Who's going to determine the hourly wage?
That was really up to us as a full commission on the candidates that we did receive, or that we basically interviewed or that were brought up. So it would be our determination up to as long as it's under $30,000 to pay this in.
If I may, I have a follow-up comment, and I have apologized to this commission once before for voting something on the floor that had not been through committee. And I don't think the budget committee is necessarily the committee that should come up with that. And I don't think at this time that it's complete. So I'm going to learn from my past mistake, and I'm going to ask that this be set aside until all decisions are made, and then let's vote. Thank you.
Any other comments, Commissioner Von Cannon?
Most of this work to be done had to be at the animal shelter. And if you wait much longer, you may as well forget about it until springtime. Because you don't do a whole lot of landscaping and things that you need in the wintertime. So if we're going to do anything this year, we need to address this tonight.
And Ms. Holden, that's kind of what Ms. Collins was speaking on. This came from Building and Grounds and was kind of just put out there before us, hey, we need a part-time employee with no stipulations, nothing. So I mean, we worked it out basically at the table for 2 hours or more to come to this conclusion, and that's where we stand tonight.
Dr. Acuff?
If I'm not mistaken, I attended that budget meeting. Commissioner Frazier, at the end of the meeting, made a motion to provide $3,000 to go for a project manager at the animal shelter. So this would not include those monies, nor would that be an oversight by this individual. There's another motion to be, or another motion to be placed on the floor to give the animal shelter $3,000 for its board to pick the project manager to take care of the issues in the animal shelter.
Commissioner Blevins, you were next, sir.
I agree with Commissioner Holden there. I just state where I stand on this.
Okay, sir, thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
When the $3,000 is only through the remainder of this year, through the remainder of 2019. So that gives us enough time to have the qualifications set, so the animal shelter doesn't have to wait any longer, and also to get the qualifications set, get the job advertised, et cetera, within the next 60 days.
Any other comments on the motion? Any other comments? Please call.
What is the motion again, please? We've been around about 3 times.
We've been around it about 60. Actually, no, we've been at
About 60
about 7 months.
This is to $30,000, yes. This is,
Just not for part-time support, that's what we're doing. Okay.
sound like you had it. That's it. This coming from miscellaneous funds, the unclaimed funds that were to come from those.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any, Commissioner Campbell?
Mr. Prager, I think it stated this would run for now until December.
No, that's separate. That was,
This will be voted on the full commission, is that correct?
Right.
Whoever turns in an application, if you have 50 people turning applications,
Well,
then we'll be voting on 50 different people, is that not
I
correct?
don't want to muddy the water, but one comment on that. It's my understanding while I was out, the first surgery I had, that there was a vote to put Mr. Shooter in as program manager. But then that, I think, through the process, or at least I was watching this from a distance, then through the process, there were some problems with that, it didn't take place. And then my understanding was then it was put back in the mayor's office. Am I correct on that, Mayor? The program managing position, that's going to be back in your office.
It has been discussed, but it has never been approved.
Okay.
Is that, it's never been approved, it's been
Okay.
discussed.
Yeah, I think earlier, the intent was that you all were going to advertise and hire a part-time employee, paid at an hourly rate, that they figured somewhere between $15 and $16 to be under that $30,000 mark, work part-time, average 29 hours a week. Well, we put off advertising for that position, we don't even have the job description yet. So it would seem that we might be a little premature in improving the pay for that position since we don't have it. And that's just my.
Who's gonna oversee this?
Right, none of that's been decided. All we know is we're gonna make a position, and that's it so far.
Mr. Chair, would it not be worthy to send it back to committee for completion prior to bringing it on the floor? But, and that's fine, I hate to call it, how we want to solve tomorrow problem immediately.
But you could approve an amount, you could approve this up to that amount for them to make the qualifications and have the advertisement to bring back and have a whole package to say, we know we've got this much money, up to this much money to work with. And then the final approval, of course, would be after it was all advertised and you had the applicants. That, you can do it that way, certainly.
Well, certainly, to advocate any position or whatever on any issue, I have to step down. But I think, make a comment. Normally, when you hire a person, you do the job description so you know who you're going to go after. And then, after you go through getting your applications back, then you go through the interview process. And you interview that first person. But the very first thing, and that's why I mentioned this to the mayor earlier, the very first thing that you determine is, where is that position, under whose leadership is that going to be under? Is that going to be under the mayor's office? Is that going to be under the committee's office? Or who's going to have oversight, direct supervision is the key word there. Who's going to be directly supervising this person? So it seems to me, and I'm just speaking, not either side, I'm not advocating for either side. As your chair, I'm just trying to point out that I think that's the way processes work in terms of hiring and putting people in place. I guess you can go ahead and set aside the funding in that process. Of course, that's going to come along at some point. But I'm inclined as your chair to, unless there's an urgent need, I don't hear an urgent need for it to be approved tonight, Mr. Chair. Is that correct?
It sounds pretty urgent from, the folks we've had, talking up here tonight, and we do have some.
I'm not talking about the animal shelter people. I'm not advocating either, that's what I'm saying. So I wasn't advocating.
I understand that.
But to have a clean process, that's the way that you would do it with your employees, I think. That's the way Dr. Acuff would do it with his employees. Mr. Hill, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so we do need a funding amount. We have to have some idea of what that position would be paid. We also need a job description. It's an emergency now. It didn't have to be an emergency. The only thing we've known through the budget process is that we didn't want the temporary fix to go forward. But no other proposal was advanced, ever. Nothing. So it's kind of poor form to proceed and continue to kick the can and get by with the temporary fix with no plan for continuation once that expires, which it has. Therefore, the emergent situation. We don't have the luxury of time. Our building projects are on a halt right now because of no supervision, which is what we've heard tonight. And the animal shelter is certainly more emergent than some of this other stuff, but it all definitely needed to continue, and proper steps weren't taken when the proper time would have been to take proper steps. Thank you for the floor.
Commissioner Bailey.
All right, guys, whether you agree or disagree, all I think the motion was for us to set the money aside, because for 6 months we went around with the committee, back and forth. At least this is one part out of the way. All I'm asking, and what I seconded, was to set it aside, then let's figure out who it's going to work under there. That way we ain't going to go through this same thing in 3 more months. That's all my second motion was. So I think we need to set it aside. That way that part is done. Because we've kicked this around for 6 months now, back and forth. So if we kick another one around 6 months, we're starting back where we started.
Commissioner Holloran.
I would just like to ask a question, because Attorney Hardin mentioned that the numbers $15 and $16 an hour were discussed. As someone who hires employees, I don't know that we're going to get someone qualified to be a project manager for $15 or $16 an hour. So I have a problem setting aside an amount when I don't think it's been determined that we can get a qualified person at that rate, if that's the number that got kicked around.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Hill.
I just want to state, we got the buck passed to us because Building Grounds didn't want to make a decision, basically. that was stated at the budget committee the other night. They were not gonna make a position on what the qualifications were or what to pay. They threw that in the laps of the budget committee, the whole process.
Thank you, sir.
I've got a question for Mr. Johnson, and we want to send it back to committee, where's it going?
Building and grounds.
Okay.
I mean, that fits because it relates to projects. But see, the confusing thing is you've got an immediate right now needs and then you've got the long range needs. Project right now is going on, you've got your electronics project, it's what, $300 and some thousand. That's ongoing, we're showing up for work every day. Who is the fox that's watching the hen house? That's just like the jail is a piece of crap. It's just like the animal shelter before they got turned over. It's a piece of crap because we would not do our job except mess it up. But the immediate is the problem. The far range, that building grounds can handle it perfectly and make a perfect package to bring before this total commission. But the immediate is the problem, and they just won't overlook it. That's the way to go.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion, any other discussion?
It was my understanding through building and grounds that we were going to just request the budget committee to allocate the funds to create this position. After that, building and grounds would go back and determine what the qualifications would be so that that job could be posted and people could apply, and then this full committee could review those applications and make an appointment at that time.
Thank you. Commissioner Von Cannon.
It appears we have two different things here we need to address. We need to address the immediate, and Aaron Fraser had the right direction to allocate $3,000 to start this immediate thing with the landscaping and whatever at the animal shelter. Because if you don't start now, you're going to do it until spring. And then the other aspect is the long range thing, and we're not ready for that. We don't have job descriptions, we don't have lines of authority. Who's going to be the final authority? Is it going to be the mayor? Is it going to be the committee? Is it going to be building and grounds? Is it going to be budget? We're not ready for the long range thing. It needs to go back to somebody in a committee.
Thank you, Commissioner Von Cannon. Commissioner Culler?
Well, I don't think we need to worry about landscaping at the animal shelter. Of course, we probably could get that done for $3,000, but that's not our immediate legal thinking.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Madam Clerk, call the roll. Reveal the vote, please. Motion failed, only 11. 11-8, is that what I see? Right. Motion failed. That's third reading passed.
Were the abstentions for any conflict reason, or just because you didn't want it?
What did you abstain, Commissioner Von Cannon, you abstained? Abstain?
Is that for cause, or you just abstained?
The attorney was asking, was it for cause or did you?
The reason I'm asking is if it's an abstention for cause, it would reduce the total votes.
Thank you. That we could have the $3,000 and then send the big long range plan back to committee. I would vote aye.
I don't think it was for cause, so it's motion failed.
Motion failed.
I don't think you understand what you're voting on, did you?
It's not the $3,000 for the animal shelter. We haven't voted on it in the motion. Separate motion. That's in the second motion.
It's to set the $30,000 aside to pay the part-time.
$3,000 later.
Could you state the motion again, please?
It would be for normal procedures.
Did the motion include the $3,000 for short range and then go into long range?
The motion was $3,000 to set it aside. I'm sorry, $30,000. $30,000.
It did not include that. It's
Well,
not.
that's long range.
So,
So I abstain.
motion failed.
Okay, I'm gonna jump around the minutes. This is the last move we made at that meeting, but this falls right along with what we're talking about. We'll keep maybe Charlie and I on this one as well. This will be a motion. I'll make the motion to approve an allocation of $3,000 for the Animal Control Board to acquire a project manager of their choice to complete current projects prior to the end of the calendar year for 2019. This is coming from also 44-170 miscellaneous refunds.
Would you repeat that number again, please?
The total, $3,000. $3,000.
We got a motion? Motion, second by Commissioner Mike Hill. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Culler?
Yes, 3,000, you just heard what Commissioner Holden said about, she didn't think you could hire anybody for $50 or $16 an hour. $3,000 is $750 a month. I don't think we can hire anybody to finish up the animal shelter for $3,000.
Any other comments?
Here's my comment again, and this
Go ahead, Chairman.
there wasn't much context in the paper. No negotiations, no compromise. This is what we did for 3 hours, 4 hours at budget meeting. Try to negotiate, try to compromise something and bring it forward to this committee so we can move it all forward. That's what we've got. And it's up to you, it's your vote now, so, I mean, that's fine. But we've got something on the table that we can work with. Patty?
I just want to state, so we try to give money, and there's a problem with giving it? I'm just confused on that, even though we don't know if someone tries, if $3,000 will work, but we're trying to negotiate something here. If they don't want it, then we'll just not give it.
Commissioner Culler?
Compromising for less than what we can possibly hire anybody for, that just looks nice, that's all.
Well, we're putting our arm out at least, so, you know.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other comments? We do have a second.
Yes.
Call the roll. Motion passed. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, that'll get us back on to our budget amendments, regular budget amendments. All right, this will be 101, General Fund 101. Budget amendment number 1 for a total of $160,244.18. Three of those items, $18,910 will come from fund balance, only $1,000 from unassigned fund balance. I'll put that in form of a motion.
There's a second on the motion, second. Commissioner Travis Hill. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please call the roll. Motion passed, sir.
Next item, I'm putting in the form of a motion to approve solid waste and sanitation fund 116, amendment number 1 for $8,500 and nothing from fund balance.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Culler. Any discussion on the motion? Please call the roll. Motion passed, sir.
Next item, I'll put in the form of a motion is to approve drug control fund 122, amendment number 1 for a total of $2,112, nothing from fund balance.
There's a second on the motion. Commissioner Frazier, second. Any questions, discussion? Please call the roll. Seal, the motion passed.
The next item I'll put in the form of a motion is to approve Highway and Public Works Fund 131, Amendment Number 1, 2 items for a total of $461,391.85 with nothing from fund balance.
Your second on the motion? Second, Commissioner Brown. Any discussion on the motion? Discussion? Call the roll, please. Motion passed.
Thank you. And next, I'll put the form of a motion to approve the monetary donations made to the animal shelter, $4,040, the drug control fund, $176.10, and Carter County School System, $14,000.
Your second on the motion? Commissioner Color, second. Discussion? Discussion? Call the roll. Motion passed, sir.
Thank you. Next item, a form of a motion to approve non-monetary donations made to the shelter, $688.52, and also the highway department for a total of $24,800 on that.
Second on the motion, second, Commissioner Travis Hill. Discussion?
But I will add is the 24.8 to the highway department was given to us. I think it's field dirt for the project at Riverview. Is that right?
No, that donation was for Andrew Finn.
Okay.
It's part of flood control, and we should get 75% of that money back from FEMA, and it's a donation.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Please call the roll. Motion passed.
And the last motion that I have, and we did, you should have, this was from the planning department, but it didn't really come out as normal, but they have been presented, and it's page 32 if you had a document that looks like this. If you want to grab that. And I'll put in the form of a motion to approve the planning department budget amendment for a total of $23,600, nothing coming from fund balance. And that's for the items that they have lined out right there. There was discussion on it that, Brad clarified it the best he could as far as the lines. There was just basically, I guess, reallocating or trying to, balance the budget from what we maybe shorted from last year. Is that right?
Just moving funds around within their budget.
Yeah, they just had some shortages on some things, I think, didn't they? Just trying to make that work for them.
Was that from last year's budget or?
It was, no, this will be this year's budget.
Budget amendment for this year's budget.
Okay. This year's budget is the one we set for them in the July meeting, though, right? And that was last year's budget. Let's that right out. For salaries. I just wanted to make sure I was right on that. Your second on the motion? Second, Commissioner Color. Now, discussion. Any discussion on the motion?
The total of that equals what?
$23,600. Nothing from their fund balance.
Commissioner Color second that, is that right? Any other questions? Questions at all? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed. Motion passed, sir.
All right, that's all I have as far as the amendments from my report. Any questions?
Any questions for the chairman?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Building and grounds, Ms. Ward.
We reviewed 2 quotes for the replacement of the heating and air units in the courthouse annex. Norwell came in just $2,449 under Mountain Air. Building and Grounds decided to go with Norwell. The total cost is $11,620. And at this time, the mayor would like permission to go ahead and continue with the completion of those jobs. And I put that in the form of a motion.
Second. Second on Commissioner Jenkins, second. Any discussion on the motion? Yes, sir.
Where's the funds?
The funds have already been appropriated, is my understanding.
Other questions? Please call the roll.
Mr. Jenkins.
Motion passes.
And because Director Schubler hasn't formally been relieved of his duties as project manager, I would like to move that we do that. We relieve him of those duties at this time.
Would you repeat the motion? I'm sorry.
That Director Schubler be relieved from his duties as project manager.
Second by Dr. Acuff. Any discussion? Discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Motion passed, Chairwoman.
Okay, and I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Without the funding for the project superintendent position, I do not need to ask for permission to continue developing duties in order to get that job posted, correct?
I think we need to.
I think absolutely you need to continue working on job description or job responsibilities, whatever you want to call it in your world.
Okay.
The duties of that particular position.
Yeah, I think maybe your all,
Once we come back with that, then we'll discuss that.
I think maybe your all's committee can come up with that for your budget and then come back next month. Preferably, we have a whole package, that's what I ask.
So I don't need to take any further action at this tonight on this.
I think that's already been authorized, I mean, as far as developing the position, we can advertise for it.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Education Committee, Ms. Winston. Thank you.
First, I want to apologize that the minutes didn't make the packet. We had a fill-in, Miss Susie wasn't there, and I think her fill-in is on vacation. Obviously, any names will throw him under the bus or anything. We'll try to make sure you guys get a copy of those. There's a lot of exciting things going on in the education world. Of course, we're back to school. And if I could ask Mr. McLean to come up maybe and tell us a little bit real quick, I know it's getting late, but about the online academy. It's pretty exciting. He's our expert.
First off, Dr. Ward asked me, he had a family commitment, he couldn't be here. We've had a great start to the school year, thanks to a lot of the different departments. This is our second week. We're in the process of getting enrollment numbers together. By the end of the week, we should have some good enrollment numbers. But I do want to talk just a little bit about the Carter County Online Academy. It's a great opportunity for Carter County as well as our Carter County students. As of yesterday, we had approximately 215 applicants. Today was the start of that school day for those Carter County Online, and 160 were actually enrolled today, and we'll be adding more over the next few weeks. Those are not current Carter County students, those are new students added to Carter County. So, any questions? Thank you.
I have one, not related to that actually, if you could indulge me. I've had numerous concerns raised to me about apparently some new attendance policy that's been put in place. How significantly has our attendance enforcement changed since last year?
The policies?
Yes.
There have been no policy changes.
All right. Y'all need to put some of this back.
I'm sorry?
You guys need to communicate that with some parents a little more thoroughly, I think, because there are many who seem to think there's something new this year that is objectionable compared to last year. I have counseled these folks publicly and privately that if they communicate with the facility directors and guidance counselors, you guys typically will work with them if they have some sort of long ongoing illness, which I don't know how much of that there is.
I will add, we do have a focus this year on attendance. We have had some discussions in board workshops. We will continue to have discussions. We put a couple of committees together to look at attendance issues that we may have. But as far as policies, there have been no policy changes. But I will add, some of the confusion, not to get into a big long discussion, but some of the confusion comes in. The state is actually holding us accountable to what is considered chronic absenteeism.
Sure.
When you look at chronic absenteeism, we are not talking about students that are necessarily unexcused. We are not talking about students that are laying out of school. We are talking about students that may have an illness or whatever. Chronic absenteeism includes excused and unexcused absences. Those are students, in order to be considered truant, you must miss 10 or more days. But in order to be chronically absent, it's right at 16 days, 10% of the days. So you could actually have a student that is well below the truancy threshold that rises above chronic absenteeism threshold with excused absences.
So at what point do they go in front of a judge? The 10-day, they come to you, correct?
10-day, they would go in front of the judge.
They would go in front of the judge at 10 days.
Unexcused. Unexcused. That is your question.
Yeah, these are the questions I have now asked.
Honestly, that will be an ongoing discussion at the next board workshop, next board meeting, as well as over the next few months, with a focus on attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Financial management, Commissioner Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. I could have provided you a slideshow there, tripping and falling in a 2.5 gainer in a pipe position, but I selected not to. One of the things I wanted to reference you to in your packet was the minutes of the Financial Management Committee. On the very first page, mainly for your basic knowledge, as to how our full-time employees line up as far as their salaries are concerned. One of the things the Financial Management we were looking at, because of some of our adjoining counties were concerned of employees, full-time employees that were not making $10 an hour. So as a committee, we looked at it, we only found out of 246 employees, one person that was under the $10 mark until the 3.5% raise went into effect for this budget year. So we presently have nobody in full-time. But we run into a problem. We discovered after a motion was made by Mayor and seconded by Commissioner Colburn that we passed on to the budget committee that no full-time employee will be hired from now on for less than $10 an hour. Well, if you think about it, we've got a school department too. We kind of, during our committee, everyone was present with the exception of the superintendent of schools, and that happened to be the first day of school. And I'm pretty sure that he was quite busy, he wasn't present. And in the meantime, speaking with him and other members of his department, there may be some items that needs to be addressed by our committee that we overlooked and didn't have the information due to his absence for our final consideration. I did not take it before the budget committee. Myself, I recommend that we send it back to the financial management for review and collect or neighbor the information from the school side, and then I'll make the presentation to you later. That's fine with you. Any questions? Thank you.
Dr. Love,
The minutes are in your packet. I don't think there's anything of note that needs to be discussed, so let the minutes stand as distributed.
Highway, Mr. Von Cannon.
First of all, I want to thank the mayor for getting me a set of hearing aids. It makes a lot of difference, except Mayor, you're the only one that doesn't use the microphone. So I can't hear you. The highway department met in July in my absence. And we evidently had a petition that was brought to us that contained the signatures of several children and people that didn't live on the street. So I'm looking into that. Although the speed limit on Little Avenue will remain because most of the people there wanted it, it was just several people had an issue with the petition. I've got a listing now of the residents that live on Middle, and I will compare that with the actual petition. But it's not going to make any difference in the speed limit. It was just a matter of we see that all the time, a snit here and there between neighbors, and I don't know how you sort those out, but they do happen. The real problem, though, was one on Earl Avenue in Valley Forge. That would be the last item on page 1 of the report. Basically, we're talking about speeding, and that's all over the county. We get more complaints on the highway committee about speeding than anything else. Are they legitimate? Where I live, they were legitimate. I don't know about where you live, but Sheriff, we need for somebody in your department to hear these because it's every meeting. Speeding. So the committee, or I suggested, I don't know that we voted on it, but we're asking if we could get someone from your department to meet with us once a month and listen to what we hear about speeding.
Yes, right here too. And we enforce the laws legally throughout the county with the number of officers that we have.
Let me ask you this. You once told me
800 roads.
You once told me this, that a speed limit sign was just a suggestion. And I said to you, I suggest you give a few speeding tickets.
If you want me to enforce the speed limits, I recommend traffic enforcement units, $300,000 a year, and I'm going to have you assign personnel to just enforce the traffic laws.
Well, I understand it's like the Bible, you don't take some things literally, and I did. I apologize for that. There's been, and I don't know if I should mention this or not, but it does bear mentioning because several people are picking. I visited Sarah Whitehead recently after the spoke to her once on the phone and visited her in person. She's happy. If she's happy, why in the world aren't the rest of you happy? It was her party, and she could cry if she wanted to, and she did, at the flag folding ceremony. Therefore, if she's happy, bless your heart, please be happy, because it's fantastic that we have such problems with zero situations. Mayor, are you happy?
He doesn't look happy right now.
Because that was the whole problem.
Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
I'm happy about most things, anyway. I'm happy about most things, but what you're talking about, I wasn't too happy. The situation was very uncomfortable, and whether a lot of people like it or not, for the next 3 more years, I am the mayor. So that's all I've got to say.
True, you're the mayor, but tonight, Mayor, you had a chance to read a proclamation. If reading proclamations is what you need to do.
Back up to the podium.
And you didn't read it.
Like just a minute, Commissioner, what? Sheriff.
You're talking about speed.
One other comment.
Commissioner Von Cannon. Sir, wait a second. The sheriff wanted to respond to something too.
I just wanted to ask him, he's talking about speeding, I just wanted to ask him, what about in here today violate the speed limit?
No.
All right, you all line up. Thank you.
Commissioner Von Cannon.
That hurt.
Don't do that, you don't have your ears on, Charlie, you couldn't hear it anyway.
I hope everybody got the point.
Let's start order, please.
Any more condemnation, I can handle it. Although I will say this, the lady was happy. 30 years in the military, her husband 33 years in the military, and I've never seen anything any more emotional than when they folded the flag, took it to her, and she absolutely bawled like a baby. And if you were so interested in knowing all about that, only one commissioner showed up, and thank you, Ginger, for showing up, because it was not a bad ceremony. I think everybody would agree on that. And Mayor?
Commissioner Von Cannon.
I apologize to you, sir, for not being there to read the proclamation. However, a lot of proclamations you could have read, you haven't read.
Just one point of order here. Just like a tiny.
Go ahead.
Sir, be careful.
I'm very careful, Mr. Von Cannon. 4 years chairing the Highway Committee, certainly allowing the mayor that signed the proclamation was totally in order. No one's arguing that. But if I had made a gaffe, like leaving the current sitting mayor off of the ritual entirely, to welcome
You say
people.
you didn't know anything about it?
I'm sorry?
Are you saying you didn't even know about the...
Oh, no, I was well aware of that. I'm just saying if I had, in my tenure as highway chairman, left the sitting mayor off of anything, my head would have rolled, certainly from multiple
I sincerely thank you, because
Mr. Von Cannon.
I used your format.
Mr. Von
And
Cannon.
appreciate that.
Come back and.
I'm ready to get
I'm happy, look at me, I'm happy. Okay, let's move right along. Let me see where we are. Don't worry, be happy. Landfill Committee, Commissioner Cullen, Chairwoman Cullen, the esteemed
I won't make any comment about not being happy, okay? Thank you for your vote on budget amendment 116, amendment number 1. Item number 1 for the landfill to move forward with purchasing its ticket program. So we're in the process of getting that. Again, the internet is coming along very nicely. We should have that within the next month, I hope. So everything on that part's going to be looking very well. During our meeting, which by the way turned out not to be such a big hoopla as we expected, we had a letter from the Parks and Rec Director and Mr. Ken Goose, and he was requesting that we reconsider a vote a couple of months ago to allow dumpsters to be put on public property without any cost to any committee that was doing any kind of cleanup. If you want me to refresh your memory, a couple of months ago, we had an accusation of fraud against our director because he took a dumpster and someone said it was on private property. So we had told him not to do that anymore because we didn't want any problems with that. But my committee reconsidered that, and we're bringing it to you tonight with a motion to change that policy. As long as he takes it to a public property, we would like to allow him to go ahead and take a dumpster to any cleanup project for the county.
Second, Commissioner Jenkins, second. Any discussion? Discussion, seeing none, please call the roll.
Thank you. I'm sure Mr. King Goose and Mr. Ed Jordan will appreciate that. The next item is to do with the fire at the recycling center. As all of you know, the recycling center has been closed down. We have been told not to have any individuals in that building. The city has also closed down their recycling center. I have asked Mr. Lyons to bring me a report by our meeting next month of what this is costing, because there is a tremendous cost by having this shut down. At this time, we can't go into the building. We're waiting on the inspectors to tell us what's going on with asbestos, how much it's going to cost to do any repairs to the asbestos. So we can't go in and remove it or anything. So we don't have any processing for the recycling at all. He's barely getting by at the landfill, I think, for some just small amounts. So we're hoping to get that up and running again, but we're waiting on notice from the insurance company. I think Benny talked to them today. They still haven't told us what's going on. So that's a big concern for us, and it is going to affect Benny's budget quite a bit. So we hope that you will consider that in the future when we have to come back and ask for some money or some realignments or amendments, something to his budget, because it has been a major problem for him. That's all the report for the landfill. If I may, go ahead and do the animal shelter. If that's
Commissioner Cole, have they found maybe an alternative building that this can be reestablished while the investigative world is doing their job?
Well, we have not found an alternative building. And of course, we are waiting for them to tell us we're getting where we get the equipment. We have a thought in our mind, but we want to wait and see how much insurance money there is. And there's a possibility of something that we can work out. It's going to cost some money though.
But right now, our insurance company is not.
They have not determined anything. They haven't. I think we even have a concern for the pay because it wasn't our building. Let's just all keep our fingers crossed that that doesn't come to pass. We've been paying a premium, so I think we should get paid. But I think that's been mentioned to Mr. Lyons that, well, it's not our building. But we're going to hope for the best. Once we get the insurance money, in my committee, here's some proposals that Mr. Lyons and I have talked about, maybe looked at the possibility for the future. We'll be coming back with you with recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you. On the animal shelter, you have last month's minutes in your packet. Other than that, I'd just like to, I know you probably don't want to hear this, I'd just like to elaborate a little bit on what some of the people were saying tonight. We have a person who's wanting to donate $10,000 to the dog project, the dog runs. That's covering them and taking care of them. We have a lady who wants to donate another huge amount to finish the cat room. We have a doctor, I don't know which doctor, that's interested in donating, and that amounts anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 for a project. This is why I kept saying time is of the essence the other night, because Shannon can't take this money if we don't have a time frame on when we're going to do this. So, when you heard Dallas tonight say the state had more money to donate, so we have people wanting to help Carter County. Unfortunately, Carter County's not helping them. But if anybody knows anybody who would do a project management for $3,000, send them to see us.
One question, if I could, Ms. Carter. I noticed the city and the county together. What is the city, where are they?
Well, we have not had our meeting since all this took place, so we will have our meeting. There has been some discussion that they might go to see if they could bring some money in also, but if you remember, their money comes in a lump sum for the whole project. So this was all the results of miscommunication during construction.
Okay, thank you.
Before you leave.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Hill.
Approximately 3 years ago, I think that was when the DeLauder estate first made the bequest to the animal shelter. I made a recommendation at that time that with such a large outsized amount of donation, a foundation or an endowment should be set up, invested in some interest-bearing or some sort of dividend-generating account, and left alone for a bit, and provided figures that, with an index fund for like banks, for instance, it could have legitimately removed the consumables expense from the shelter budget in perpetuity, basically granting the DeLauder lady's wish to take care of all the dogs and cats in Carter County in perpetuity. If you had an endowment, you could accept donations even when projects weren't going on to be used in the future. They tend to attract larger checks. That's all. I was told to go kick rocks when I made that proposal the first time, but it bears revisiting if there's a large amount of money out there that might come to the shelter.
Well, it's a shame that didn't get taken care of 3 years ago.
We've got an error here.
We have someone speaking, Mr. Von Cannon.
Only a nonprofit.
Commissioner Jenkins.
So we can't accept any donations right now? Does that work?
Well, would you like to give us $10,000 and us never do a thing over there for 4 or 5 months?
To give it.
We don't feel comfortable with taking the money until we know that we're going to be able to move forward. and have
Bill,
somebody
that's
take
just
care
an
of it.
employee to push off.
No, it's not, because they gave us, you heard the lady tonight, she gave us all the money from their state, and they're not happy with what happened over there. So I don't know how we can, I would like to make people happy when they hand us a check like that. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Law enforcement. Chairman Crawford.
Sir.
Thank you. I just want to take a second, I only have one issue really to bring up, and that is the ankle monitoring system, which was discussed in the law enforcement committee. And we have voted unanimously not to go any further with this program, as it's not cost efficient or cost effective for the county. What would end up would be the cost the taxpayer would have to pay because the state's no longer financing it, and the remaining cost would be passed on to the taxpayers or the jail or sheriff's department. So the lack of interest from the company who was sponsoring this system, they failed to show up at our meetings. So we unanimously voted not to have any or make any further actions on this. So let the records state that this program has been basically shut down.
If you want to put that in the form of a motion,
I
Chairman.
would like to put that in the form of a motion.
Your second.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion? Call the roll. Anything else?
Yes, sir, I'd like to bring up, Commissioner Johnson brought this up at the meeting also. I had never had the pleasure of seeing the new county patches, the sheriff's department patches. I happened to see those patches, and I think the great thing, they're a reflection of the quality of the new county sheriff's department and the officers. And I think whoever designed this did a great job, except for you, Sheriff.
I do.
I'm just kidding, Sheriff, and I kind of worked together a few years back, but I think it's a good upgrade. Proud of it. Thank you. Any questions, anyone? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chairwoman Wood, nominated.
I'll let the minutes reflect, we didn't have any business, but I do want to bring up that the Joint Economic Development Board met today and the bylaws were approved to add 2 commissioners and 2 city council to that board. And Josh, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to just go ahead and let the commissioners know that they can submit an application if they desire that position on that board, if you'd like to submit it to me before the next nominating meeting. Be 2 commissioners, can appoint 2 commissioners on that board.
So you'll receive an application?
Yes, I'll just begin taking applications if anyone's interested to be on that board.
Thank you.
After this board, yeah, this board would recommend, and then they would be confirmed on the joint economic board.
Right. Anything else? Thank you. Rules and bylaws, Mr. Jenkins, Commissioner Jenkins. Okay, going across under the boards and commissions, we're down to beer board. Did you have anything on that?
We'll be meeting on the 5th of September. We've got one application from Mountain Harbor Bed and Breakfast.
Thank you, sir. Ms. McCann, Board of Health. Civil Service, Carter County tomorrow.
Next September.
Equalization, Ron Taylor, not here. Elaborate anything on that, Commissioner Hill?
I was still trying to find a director.
Okay, thank you. Industrial Development Board, that's what we talked about earlier. Parks and Recreation, Commissioner Jenkins. Planning Commissioner, Mr. Schuler.
Yes, we'll be meeting the 27th this month at 3 o'clock.
27th at 3.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Records Commission, last one. Anything at all? Okay, now it's time for our attorney to give his report.
Yes, sir. As far as litigation goes, still have 13 liquor code violation cases that are set to be heard in this room on the 21st, Wednesday, at 9 a.m. I believe it is. There's 13 of those cases still pending, and of course there's still others that are in the process as well, but those are the 13 that are set for hearing Wednesday. I've got all those specific properties. If anybody has any interest, you can call me and I'll give you all the information I have as to where each of them is. A couple of things the mayor mentioned earlier, a couple of court cases. Richardson v. Carter County, that was Miss Daisy Richardson, that was a fall that happened out on the sidewalk, and that was dismissed, but it was a settlement that our insurance company tendered a settlement, and that case was dismissed. Cecil Perry v. Carter County was involving Barney Brown as a constable. That was in federal district court, and that was dismissed as to the county or any official role that Barney Brown may have had. So any continuing action there is against him individually, and we're out of it. Another case, the Staubus v. Purdue Pharma case, is the opioid litigation. Of course, it's not the private litigation that we declined to participate in. This is the litigation brought by the district attorneys general for, I think it's the first, second, third judicial. That is still proceeding. It's in Sullivan County Chancery Court. They're in discovery phase, but it's anticipated that that will be heard around the first of the year, and there may be some information that's needed from us fairly soon, they're going to coordinate that with us through the mayor and the sheriff and different officials who would have that information. There was another a recent case filed in federal district court by a former inmate by the name of Shell. That is in the very early stages, and we're cooperating there to see if that proceeds much further. Other than that, general activities I do each month, I detailed it in my written report. Unless anybody has a question, I'll stand on that.
Any questions for the attorney? Commissioner Montana?
Counselor, once a budget has been passed by the commission, which we have, voted on the budget, what does state law say about changing budget numbers after the commission has voted on the final budget?
Are you talking about within a department budget, changing the numbers within an appropriated budget to a department?
I'm talking about any numbers changed from the time it is voted on until it reaches the state. Basically this, if we changed any numbers after we voted the budget, the complete budget, we have to start all over. We have to go through the budgeting process, go through the public hearing, and then vote again. Therefore, did we change any numbers?
No.
Mr. Burke?
No, we did not.
Did not?
Did not.
Okay, that's the question.
The budget was sent to the state on the 29th of July, I believe. There was nothing changed after it was approved, other than what the commission gave me authority to place in some accounts in the planning budget. There were no numbers changed.
I think there was another question. Go ahead, Commissioner Blackens.
I'll go back to this bonus that plantation voted to give Mr. Shue. But first, we're always done the payroll line item, am I correct? And second, did they take it from two different line items?
I'll let the finance director, that's my understanding. Originally, the understanding was there was, whatever the number was, $14-some odd thousand in what I termed a payroll line item. I didn't know that there were multiple payroll line items within that department. But that was my understanding originally, was it was in a line item, a payroll item, to pay people in that office. Now I understand today that there's at least two different line items in that, instead of just one. It wasn't just money in one line item.
If that's the case, they moved the money around, didn't have to come back for the budget and the full commission.
Well, certainly the usual procedure is that if there's any money moved between line items in an office budget, that's a budget amendment that's requested by the budget committee, approved, and then sent to the full commission to approve, just like we did tonight with several different budgets.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I want to put this in a form of a motion, that what money that they appropriated to Mr. Shue, $14,000 some odd dollars. I want a motion on the floor, and I'm making that motion, that money be returned back to the county, because they took it out and it wasn't approved before commission.
Your second on the motion?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any questions on the motion?
I disagree with the $14,000 being returned by Mr. Shue. He, in good faith, was promised $65,000 by the mayor. He worked and earned something. He says $14,000, then if we owe it, we pay it. if we don't owe it, where does the 14,000 come from? Does it come from the mayor's salary? Does it come from Mr. Schuler's budget? Or does it come from the budget director, who in fact knew about this and didn't tell the rest of us? Correct? Ross?
Yeah, I was.
It came as a surprise to me. I don't know about you guys. So somebody owes the taxpayers of this county $14,466.67. I don't think it should come from Mr. Schuler because he was promised. Now, is that correct, Mr. Schuler? You were promised $65,000 without it going through anybody. We can't do business this way, folks.
Mr. Mayor.
They did a study of the surrounding areas, but I'm not, it's not my responsibility. I don't have that much clout to promise him $65,000. You said I promised him. Don't you believe that?
Is this fake news?
You better listen to fake news.
Let's keep it respectable. Will you finish, Mr. Mayor?
I did not, I'm not in a situation to promise anybody anything. They did a survey, of surrounding areas, and that was the figure he came up with. And that was discussed, but I don't have that authority to promise anything like that. And if you go by the newspaper, then I've got a lot of property I can sell.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Black.
Chairman, I believe the FedEx got to speak for themselves, that this whole commission, we never did vote to give Sheila nothing. And my understanding, Mr. Audit, you correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a salary employee, and he's not allowed to get paid for 2 jobs. I've got time sheets for the shoes, and I can't see where he's done nothing. He's work on the hours under the contracted salary pay that he's got. It don't show no hours that he done nothing because of that.
Okay, sir, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion on the motion?
I mean, I'd like to hear from Josh a little bit more on this subject.
Josh?
Yeah.
I mean, can you elaborate on this? Or were we within our meetings to do that? I mean, that doesn't seem legal to me.
What are you specifically asking?
For us to take money back?
Oh, well, I'll say this, I mean, the money was approved and paid, so I don't know how deep into the process you want to get if that money is not voluntarily returned, but there could be other costs associated with that.
What question? Who approved it? You said it was approved. Who approved it? That's all I want to know. Just who? You're saying it was approved. Somebody had
The
approved it.
check was issued, so finance department issued the check.
Okay.
Just a second, Mr. President, let me get to something else. Any other commissioner, Commissioner Culler?
I'd like Commissioner Burke to weigh in on what line items.
Would you do that, sir?
Sure will.
Thank you.
The letter called for the funds to come from account number 189 and 162, I believe. And the last letter I received called this requested payment a bonus. Therefore, this bonus was coded to account number 188. which the title of that account is bonus payments.
Out of the commissions, out of the planning budget.
Correct.
Commissioner Blevins.
Again, it was supposed to come for the full commission, budget, then back to the full commission for a vote. So, he was given that money. But the finance department, which was voting through the planning commission, giving this big salary or big bonus. It didn't come to us according to law the way it's supposed to. And I think it's a disgrace and a slap in the taxpayers' money because it's been voted on numerous times about giving him a bonus, giving him a salary. They have slapped the people in Carter County in their face, this planning commission down there. And every member that sits on that board that voted for it, it's a slap in their face, the commission and the people of Carter County.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Frazier, you haven't spoken yet.
I just want to clarify, whenever the monies were appropriated, these were in a legitimate line item that they were able, and also part two of that is that the planning commission voted on to provide the bonus. So those are the two questions. Was this brought to a vote on the planning commission, or was this just done through by the director? And two, was this done out of an appropriate line item to do that without it having to require a budget amendment through the budget committee? Whichever.
From my perspective, the information I had was there was $14,000 some odd dollars in a salary line item, a line item that was used to pay folks in the planning. Apparently now, later, I find out, I'm not that in depth of knowledge of the budget process because I don't have a role in it. But there's a salary line for the director and a line for other folks and a line for other unclassified pay and a line for bonus pay. At the time that I was asked the question, it was, there's $14,000 left in the salary line item that pays people. Does the planning commission have to have authority to pay that? And my answer is no. If it's a budgeted, appropriated amount in their budget, they can zero it out without any permission. I think the issue now is, well, there was some money in this line and some money in that line, and it was paid out of a different line. And that's where the issue comes in from my perspective. But I can let Mr. Berg address the other parts of the question. But I do think the planning commission approved it, and it was in their budget. It's no new money.
So it was in the minutes?
That's my understanding, was planning commission voted to approve this bonus, and it was money left over in their budget from last year. It was not newly appropriated. It was just unspent payroll money. That's my understanding.
Mr. Berg, should a budget amendment have been done through the budget committee?
Yes.
So
I take responsibility for the whole thing. I mean, I made that decision to issue the check. Looking back, I shouldn't have done it.
Okay, how will this show out on audit findings in the future?
Well, I did run it by the auditors first, and they said they wouldn't take the issue with it.
So how do you suggest that we recoup the money, because this is a slap in the face to every other employee and to our citizens in this county? So what do you suggest, Mr. Hardy?
Like I said, I mean, you could try to take that action, but it's going to have to be a follow through on it if there's not a voluntary return. At the end of the day, the planning commission can zero out their budget and just approve that to somebody else if they want to. That was within that right line item, or I don't know what the right person could be for a line item called other. What does that mean? It's like miscellaneous, or who is the appropriate person to be paid from other? I don't know that, but I think if this money is not kept by who has it now, then they can simply turn around and allocate that to somebody else, if that's the way they want to handle it, because they're not obligated to return that money. It was budgeted to them and they expended down to zero.
Commissioner Travis here.
Would it be too much to ask to see the minutes of the planning commission meetings? I think I've seen one set in the last 8 months. And two, can the 4 commissioners sit on that? All agree that they have seen this they voted on this $14,000 in the planning budget?
I do sit on there as the chair. I was in this particular meeting that you're referencing. There was discussion about the overall budget coming back to the planning commission, to the full commission. I didn't see anywhere, or don't recall hearing, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not recall hearing anything about the bonus in that process.
Where did the request come from to issue the bonus?
Came from the chair of the planning commission.
That would be Mr. Pearman. I guess that's why I didn't really about it. I mean, you have other commissioners.
Chairman, I have a copy of that letter, if you'd like to see it, or if you want to read it out, or...
Is that the letter?
Yeah, it's the one from...
Chairman Pearman?
Chairman Pearman, and Mr. Burke.
Is that to Mr. Burke?
Yes. July 12th.
Thank you. July the 12th, 2019, to Carter County Finance. Attention, Brad Burke, Finance Director. Subject, bonus for exceptional work done for Carter County Planning and Zoning for fiscal year 2018-2019. Dear Mr. Burke, comment. Please be advised that the Carter County Planning Commission requests for line items 189 and 162 a bonus check to Director Schuler. The amount is $14,466.67 to be relieved out of the 2018 and 2019 budget. New paragraph. This request comes after talking to the county attorney, Mr. Hardin Connor, who states that the previous request for a line item amendment was not necessary due to the fact that the said monies are coming out of the payroll line item, period. Thank you for your immediate attention on this request. Signed, Jerry Pearman, Chairman, Carter County Planning Commission, Regional Planning Commission. In particular, I was not aware of this letter, and I wouldn't have to be if the chairman wrote it, of course. But I was in the meeting, and I think Dr. Acuff would say the same thing. Anyone in that meeting with me, there was no discussion about bonus to my knowledge. There was discussion about, and the minutes reflect what I'm saying too, the minutes from the Planning Commission. The discussion was about, here's the new budget. We all want you to look at it. We've worked a considerable amount of hours on this budget. And I think I even said as one of the participants in that meeting, I think the minutes will reflect this as well. I said, I think if you don't reduce that budget, then there's no need to take it back to the floor. That's quote unquote, I believe. And so that's what I said in the meeting. That's what I remember being said in the meeting. Now, Commissioner Deacons is in there, Commissioner Collins was in there, Dr. Acuff was in there, as members. I've spoken for myself. The record will reflect what I'm saying as the truth. Commissioner Woodby.
Can I ask a question if any of the other employees in the planning office received any form of bonus or salary increase?
No.
Salary increase they have.
No,
3.5%.
3.5%, only the 3.5%.
That was at
No
And
bonus.
as they got their certificates, they received another $500. So yes, they have.
Commissioner Von Cannon.
Mr. Byrd, do you know Charles Curtis? Nashville?
No.
Mr. Burke, would you you're quoted here saying that this is not uncommon. Can you give me some instances where it was done around the budget committee?
I know there have been instances in the past where office holders have given bonuses, but they weren't classified as bonuses. They were in a regular other line item.
Mr. Curtis has never heard of this, sir. And who is Mr. Curtis? He's the head of the Association of Commissioners for the state of Tennessee. So how can we go around the budget committee? How can they do their job if this is allowed to happen?
Commissioner Travis Hill.
I believe we had the same instance back in January with Ms. Gooch's office when we paid out Christmas bonuses. Did it come out of a bonus line item?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Needs changing.
Okay, we have still a motion. We have a second. It's been a while. Would you repeat the motion for me, please?
The motion is that if the money was taken wrongly and didn't go through the proper channel, the motion is that Mr. Schuler is to give the money back to the Carter County.
Okay, and then the second, who was the second that motion? Ms. Brown, you understand the motion?
Yes, I do.
You still second the
I
motion?
do. I do.
Thank you very much. Thanks for clarifying that, sir. Commissioner Cullen.
Hey, one more question. On the request, did it request a bonus or a payment for work done?
It's a bonus.
Bonus.
Kind of both. It said it was a bonus forward now.
Yes.
Was there a bonus line item in their budget at the time?
No,
So how did it get out of the bonus line item?
because it was a bonus.
Well, I guess I'm saying if there was no bonus line item, how was the bonus paid? Out of another line item?
It's paid out of that line item, even though there's nothing in it. The money was in 189 and 162.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Holden?
Mr. Burke, I'm sorry if I missed this while I was out. Have you told in the past few minutes what the titles of line item 189 and 162 are?
Yes, I can say it again.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Okay, 189 is other salaries and wages. 162 is, it's either clerical or secretary.
Have you told how much was in each of those?
No,
Will you do that for me now?
I will.
I got a quick question. Sonia, do you remember voting on this?
I don't remember that much about the vote, to be honest with
Mr.
you. We voted
Acuff?
on so many budgets during that process.
Dr. Acuff, do you remember?
Well, that's when you made a motion, Bob.
Yeah, I think I did make the motion. We can go back and check the minutes. We had a lot of budget discussions because as Chairman Lyons remembered, we dropped the pay from, I think, like 17 to 9,000 for Mr. Schuler to cover.
There's a lot of.
Yeah, we did for that 4 or 5 iterations.
Was that letter passed?
Pardon?
Wasn't that letter passed out?
That letter, yes.
That was passed out.
This vote, I didn't see this vote.
Was this on the 23rd
It
meeting?
may have been in my package, but I didn't see this vote. This is the first reference I have heard about bonus. I'm not saying it wasn't discussed, I'm just saying I didn't hear it. Other commissioners in there want to chime in on this? That are on the planning commission. I've said what and you can check the minutes and see if I'm right or see if I'm wrong. Any other discussion? We have a motion, we have.
If they
I'm
was,
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, and, other salaries and wages, as of June 30th, 2019, $12,724.41. And in account 162, which is clerical personnel, $6,711.21.
Okay, so who can be paid out of the other category?
I'm not really sure who's paid out of that. Chris can tell us, I guess. Who's another salary and wages?
What's the base on it?
The what?
What's the amount, total amount?
Amount left in it is $12,724.41.
That's the total amount at the start of the year.
No, that's total left at June 30th.
What do you have the total first year?
$49,164.10.
That's out of the inspectors.
Ms. Holden, are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Brown?
Why was these funds not turned in at the end of the year? I mean, in the general fund, like every other department was supposed to turn in funds. I mean,
We did turn money back into the general fund. You know, we predicted 2.06 back to the general fund also.
well, apparently they could have been a whole lot more coming.
I think they made the request to disperse it before the budget year ended, was my understanding.
No, whatever the date was on that letter.
But it would come out of the 18-19 budget. That it said in the letter.
Any other discussion on the motion? The motion by Mr. Blevins, Commissioner Blevins, second by Commissioner Brown. Please call the roll.
Randall.
Commissioner Jenkins? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. The bill of vote, the motion passed 13 to 8. Okay, we're down on our agenda to commissioner comments. Commissioner comments. Any commissioner wants to comment that has a comment? Wants to comment more? Commissioner Jenkins.
I had a quick comment or a suggestion maybe for the unclaimed funds. I was hoping that financial management, Brad, could maybe look at interviewing some salary study groups or companies to do a study on the county to go along with what they've already been doing, so we can maybe avoid some of this next year. Be great. We've been talking about doing a salary or compensation study for, I don't know, for quite some time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been discussed over the past 3 years. If you can remember, the school board employed a firm idea to do a survey within the Board of Education, of which they have received results, and the biggest majority of us have reviewed them. And the school board and the superintendent is using it as a guideline to do increases in the employees that were found in the survey to be deficient. We are in that process. We're trying to get it to where we have substantial ground to come before this commission and ask for the same thing. It is overdue. Some say, well, I don't want to spend $20,000 because, you know, we give them 3% raise every year. Well, sorry, I've got your pay raise calendar for 10 years, you've given none. You give cost of living increase, but you never give a pay raise. But anyhow, it is being used as a management and a guide tool for the Board of Education, the same that it would be for this commission. And it too may aid and help us in determining a wage rate system of where you do not have to do the end battle every year during the budget year. We don't know those because we don't have the accurate numbers. But it'd be a wise, great wise instrument tool to use if they do it.
So I would like to put that in motion that financial management start interviewing companies to do this study for us.
Second. Motion, Commissioner Travis Hill. Has a motion and a second.
Second motion.
Any discussion? Call the roll, please. Motion passed.
One other thing, we just hit on the unclaimed monies as well. I got a suggestion as well. The property up around the lake, the substation, I would like to suggest that the budget committee could maybe look at maybe using some of that monies to help us finish that project. Mayor, you're overseeing that project, so it would be nice to get that under our belt and get it done.
Commissioner Keller, I've overlooked you. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
You want to finish with him? I want to go back.
Okay. You want to do a motion or anything on that?
Well, before Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead,
I don't know, maybe, but there is a fund available, and we have a balance right now on capital property improvements for the county. And that's one of the multiple projects that the chairman of grounds keeps up with monthly, and they are updated. I would suggest we do.
I mean, if we have the funds available in that, let's just do it.
But if we do it, unless it's $1 million, we're just SOL then. Shucks, I don't get excited.
Commissioner Keller.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. We reconsider the last vote on the planning commission, and I was on the prevailing side.
Motion is
To reconsider the vote on the planning.
reconsider the vote on the planning commission. That we passed. You're talking about the one?
Yeah.
Mr. Clevens, okay. Have a second? Second. Are you guys with me over here? You're both, all of you both? Pardon?
Let's take the motion.
This is just to reconsider, so to get it back up to public use, so this isn't anything substantive, this is just open it back up and consider it.
Motion failed. Commissioner Todd.
I would like to go on record that my vote was a mistake on the first one. I thought I hit no. I want it on record that I vote no on the first vote.
Okay. Make a notation that Commissioner Keller wanted to vote no on the first, is that right?
That's correct.
We're still in commissioner comments. Excuse me. Floor is still open, commissioner comments. Chair? Yes, sir.
Just an item of note, several of you received an email from me regarding free lunch next Tuesday, August 27th at TCAT for Isaiah 117 House. It's an opportunity for us to hear what they're doing in Carter County, particularly how they've expanded their region and ministry, and it is one of the outside agencies that we have funded. As I said again, it is a free lunch. Doors will open at 11:45. And Rhonda policy says we will be done the meeting, the presentation by 1. I've heard from one commissioner who has said he was going. I've heard the possibility from another, but in order to get a head count, you want to go, just let me know. That's Tuesday, August 27th at 11:45 a.m. at TCAP. The program will start at 12 and go to 1.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner
I
Carter.
believe you need to go back. If I change my vote, that motion does not pass. It was 13 yeses, and I thought I did no, and that was where I wanted to vote.
Shouldn't that vote have come up before we reconsidered the vote? Should she have changed her vote then?
Well, I was trying to do it the proper way, by reconsideration.
Really, according to our rules, once the vote's revealed, we can't change it. I mean, that's what the rules.
Make sure it's on record that I said no.
Yeah, we noted that, I think.
Thank you.
Commissioner Condon, Commissioner Frazier.
Just one thing regarding all the folks that are coming forward about the animal shelter. I understand everybody's really passionate about the animal shelter, but the county does put forward a ridiculous amount of money every year for the maintenance of the animal shelter, and we still have problems, like Ms. Odom was talking about, with kids. I don't know what Dexter's position is on this, but I mean, as far as the county goes for animal removal and things like that, they have very strict guidelines that they can go by. So, but we're putting forth a crazy amount of money towards the animal shelter. It's nearing what we're actually having to put forth towards the health department and things of that nature. So, as we're saying that we need to spend more money, I think we need to temper that because we need to ultimately remember that these are animals. I've had animals my entire life, and the vast majority of my life I've had animals outside because they're coon dogs. You can't keep coon dogs inside. These crazy moronic dogs will run through the middle of the creek whenever it's 17 degrees below zero. They don't feel cold the same way that the rest of us do in a lot of cases.
Commissioner McCain.
Okay. We are the reason that these dogs that you're talking about are running through the county. We have not set any ordinances to help these animals out. And to sit here and say that these animals don't deserve money, I'm offended majorly. Yes, kids need money, but so do our animals.
You want to state what you said earlier, Commissioner Frazier?
Regarding?
I don't think I recall hearing you say that these animals.
I did not state that at all. I'm stating that we cannot allow animals to overshadow the other true needs in this county, which are the county's residents, this county's people. Absolutely. Take it up, create ordinances, create laws to where you take the people that are running puppy farms and stuff like that, get them into court, whatever. But it's getting out of control. It is truly getting out of control, especially when we have a currently no-kill animal shelter. There's no way to offload any of these animals that frankly just nobody wants. I love animals. My wife has a shelter dog. I took a dog in that was a bad. There's only so much that individuals can do, and there's only so much that the county can do because we are, by every estimation, a small county in the state. And we still spend a lot more money than most counties do on animal control.
Mr. Brown.
Okay. I was just going to ask the sheriff what he knows about the guy that's living in a tent at Hampton.
It's not illegal. You've got to understand, I take an oath, you take an oath. For me to take action, there must be a violation of state law. People, animals, I cannot get into what Dexter likes, we don't like, or what Aaron likes, we don't like. There has to be a violation of state law. It's not a violation of state law to set up a tent on state law. I've researched it. It is not illegal. Now, the state of Tennessee wants to make it illegal for them to do that. I will be more than happy to give them a place to stay.
Well, I'm asking, I'll ask you this. Will you see that it's patrolled better? Because I had a complaint the other day of some parent that was stopped at the stop sign there at the bridge. There was a woman come out of the bushes with just her bra on and putting her shirt over her head. And I mean, literally,
That
we
really
have
would not- That
issues.
really would not be a violation of state law either. She was there's certain parts of your body that you must cover. She had them covered. Whether it was a bra or a bikini top, she had them covered. So that is not a violation of state law.
Commissioner Color,
I'm being serious here. Bikinis. Bikinis are not illegal. A female wearing a bra is not a violation of state law. I'm sorry. It may offend us, and it offends me. I don't like it either. And I wish I could go up there and run my off.
Well, she
but I can't.
literally had 2 kids in the car under 5 years old. So she was really offended. And
I
I can
understand,
see
but
her
there's no
point.
TCA code for offended. I'm sorry, there's just not. I can't do offended. It has to be a violation of state law.
Commissioner Collar, did you
For
have?
the record, the animal shelter wasn't asking for money, they were asking for somebody to oversee a county building. We have money if we can get it.
I would suggest this on the part of the people up there. Contact your state representatives and your state senators. And they did, and it needs to be done before it gets out of hand. There needs to be a violation of state law for conduct and how long you can stay, and what circumstances you can stay on state right-of-ways.
Well, this guy, I've been told, has been offered a job and somebody pick him up, take him to work and give him food and bring him back and he will not work.
He will not
He's been
take- he
seen
will not
with a
take-
cell
he will not
phone
work.
and beers
Yes, ma'am.
going back and forth.
Yes, ma'am, you will not work.
She just about hourly.
I'll open the floor for a motion to adjourn. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I have two more.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Or one more quick thing. I would just encourage the chairman for the individual committees that when we're going through and we're conducting our meetings, there's a lot of sidebar comments coming from people that are not committee members. And I would encourage the chairman to make sure that you try to keep those to a minimum because it is extraordinarily distracting because the comments are being directed at people in the meeting itself while other business is trying to be taken care of.
I would also like to agree with Aaron on that. It is a distraction for the actual committee members when there's actually people there in attendance that are making snide remarks and snickers against actual committee members. It's very unprofessional and very distasteful.
Did you have something else, Commissioner Frazier? Commissioner Frazier, did you have a second?
No, that'll be it.
Floor, Commissioner Holden.
I'm sorry, I want to go to, I just wanted to say that this commission has made it clear how they felt about the planning commission issue. I have not been on the prevailing side, but I understand when the majority rules, they rule, okay? I appreciate the attorney and Director Burke admitting errors tonight. I appreciate y'all's honesty in that. I would just say to us all, let's be real careful. Let's dot our i's and cross our t's. Let's not let things like this happen again. But the reason, I just want to state, the reason that I voted no on that planning commission vote tonight is because we're asking a man to pay back money that we don't know what he's done with in the past several days. And it wasn't exactly his fault that he was paid that money. And that's why I voted no. I want to thank the budget committee for trying to compromise, trying to come up with a solution on this project manager situation. Thank you all for your work on that. I just want to see more homework done on that before I want to vote on it. Sheriff Lunsford, I would have to agree with Mr. Von Cannon's request that you or a representative attend our highway committee meetings. They are complaining every meeting, just like he said. If I was running a ship that people were talking about, I probably would want to be there to hear what they have to say. On a personal note, I am on a new medication, and I apologize for missing what Mr. Livingston said tonight and anybody else that spoke while I was out of the room. It is a health issue beyond my control. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments before I open the floor to adjourn? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Levis, Commissioner Frazier, second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Stand adjourned. Thank you all very much.